This is the Jason Gregor Show.
62-yarder. Snap, hole, cheaters kick. It's blocked, picked up by NIU. Picked up by NIU. The Huskies have done it. The Huskies with the biggest upset in NIU history. They come to South Bend, Indiana, and they knock off the number 5 team in the country.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Into it on the banner. Instead the block, and he's going deep. He's here for runs. Driving 56. Always a boost. 80-yard touchdown.
Force 1440.
And the Oilers Nation YouTube channel.
First down, the right side into the end zone for the Edmonton touchdown.
A magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, sports1440.ca. All your opportunities on the app. Thanks so much for listening. And man, we got a loaded show for you today. Can't wait. It's a great time to be a sports fan, baby. It is a great time to be a sports fan. We'll hear from Elks defensive coordinator Jason Shivers in hour number 1. Andy Petrillo will be by. Sean Brown is back to join us after summer off. We'll talk a little CFL as well as NFL with Farhan Lalji. He's in for the Monday Nighter tonight. Also, Spec, we'll hear from Kevin Woodley, Ryan Holt, as we start to shape up the upcoming season for the Bakersfield Condors. And, you look at some possible combinations. I did see Yarventi today for the first time up close. Skates really well. Big body. Just on the ice, if you just look simply for speed and size, it looks to be more impactful. But obviously, that's not the whole part of the game. Xavier Bourgault, of course, who he was traded for. Maybe more of a finisher. We'll see. But Yarventi is another guy that you put in the mix for the Oilers because he requires waivers, as does Rafael Lavoie. And I wonder, does that factor in at all? We shall see. The Oilers, if you don't know, medicals are next Wednesday for the veterans. And then next Thursday, they're on the ice. Thursday, Friday, Saturday for training camp. And then the preseason gets going next Sunday. So we are 13 days away from preseason action. Oilers, of course, will play Winnipeg at home. And then the next night, they got a game at home against Calgary and then a game in Calgary. Lots of the veterans were on the ice today. Connor McDavid skating for the first time with the group. But him and Leon Draisaitl will head to Vegas tomorrow for their NHL skate. Now, Connor McDavid, late in the scrimmage today, got tripped up by Victor Arvidsson. It was very quiet. There was a hush on the ice. McDavid lost his stick. Arvidsson sheepishly came over, gave him a stick. Looks like, might have tripped him up with his skate. McDavid, was down on his knee for a bit, had his hand on his hip, got off, then skated off. I don't think he took another stride, but I saw him walking off afterwards. But I will say, for a brief time, Arvidsson was like, oh my goodness, this is not great. I can tell you that. So, obviously it was nothing, Sears didn't stick out a knee or anything, but just their skates got caught up. I don't know if Arvidsson, assuming he's not trying to trip a guy in a non-contact scrimmage, especially when it's Connor McDavid. But that was McDavid's first time with the group. I'm sure they'll chuckle about it later, but he asked Victor Arvidsson. So, Victor, you've played against McDavid for a few years, and now you sign up. You're all excited. It's your first day. Oh, here's McDavid. It's gonna trip over my skate. And I can tell you for a bit there, every player knows who their best player is. And you see McDavid on the ice, and for a little moment, I'm sure there was a WTF moment for briefly, but looks like he'll be fine. And we'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, the Elks, they're in the race, baby. We said it before the weekend. They needed to win that game. And they did win the game. They also got help because the Saskatchewan Roughriders lost their game. So now the Elks are 1 point back of the Riders. They each have 5 games remaining. Also, Toronto lost. So if you think the crossover's still alive, they're there. Now, they're 2 points back of Toronto. However, in the crossover rules, you have to have more points than them. So in theory, they're 3 back of Toronto. Edmonton plays Saskatchewan once, Toronto once, Calgary once, and they play Winnipeg twice, including their next 2 games. Both Edmonton and Winnipeg are on bye weeks this upcoming week, as is Saskatchewan. So they'll all get a rest. Toronto's in BC, Ottawa's in Hamilton, and Montreal is in Calgary. No real, I guess the one game that has some implications would be Toronto, BC for Edmonton. So, we'll see what happens there. I guess you keep your hopes alive for a potential crossover for Edmonton, but hey, they got to play well. Now, making the playoffs is important. Don't get me wrong. But I think the green and gold, their bigger long-term vision has to be Trey Ford. Right, Bethel Thompson, I thought he played very well Monday in Calgary. The game Saturday at home, no. Judge should have had a pick 6 on the first pass of the game. Right? Remember, Leak rushes for 5 yards. The next throw, Bethel Thompson puts it right in Judge's hand. If he catches that, he is walking untouched into the end zone. He dropped it. That's why he's a defensive player. And then later on, we saw a pick 6 from Bethel Thompson. That's his MO, if you look at his whole career. Plus, look at his age. What's more important for the Elks? Make the playoffs or keep developing Trey Ford? To me, it's a no-brainer. And, oh, by the way, when Trey Ford starts games, you have a better winning percentage than when Bethel Thompson does. So, to me, it's a no-brainer. And so, well, a lot of people are like, oh, Chris Jones is gone, and now everybody here in the regime, they're like, oh, yeah, Trey Ford. No, they're not. They didn't start Trey Ford the first game after Jones left, and they haven't started in the last 2. So, I'm still not sold that this regime looks and kind of what direction they want to go in. Trey Ford's could be an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. What, are you just going to let him walk because you want to play McLeod, Bethel Thompson down the stretch? Like, come on. I actually think this is a very easy decision. Trey Ford helps you win games. That's been proven. Don't get all, oh, well, Bethel Thompson's won a few. Yeah, how many lose? How many lose this year? So, I'm sorry. Look at his age. Look at everything else. Like this, when they come out of the bye week, if Trey Ford isn't getting the number 1 reps, then if I'm the owner, Larry Thompson, I'm kind of like, huh? What are we doing as an organization? That's just me, though. That's how I view it. Cons, where do you come out?
Yeah, well, Trey Ford will be the starter. Jarius Jackson said coming out after the bye week, he will be the starter.
Did he announce? Oh, you said that? Okay, perfect.
So, yeah, it has been good. It's been set up like that, and I agree with that. I mean, Claude Bethel Thompson, hey, he got you the 2 wins. That's great. But you don't lose your starting job to injury. I like to buy into that, and Trey Ford lost the job to injury. He was the starter. He took the shot to the upper body, and when he's out there, he just adds that other element. We talked about it last week, Gregor, when you can have Leak, Rankin, and KB out there in the backfield. What a ridiculous look that is. Throw Trey Ford in there. Like the things you could do, you would have defensive coordinators' minds spinning with that type of backfield look. So, yeah, for sure. I think Trey Ford's going to get out there again, probably continue where he left off. The run game will continue to thrive, and it's the right decision because, you got to keep him happy. Like you said, free agency, you don't want him upset about the way he's been treated. I think a good run down the stretch here probably shows it's a good spot for him going forward, and you get that extension done and keep him in the green and gold because he is certainly someone that just adds that extra wrinkle to your offense. And when he's out there, it's totally different.
Yeah. And Ford helps you win. He's your future. You play him. I don't think it's no brainer for that. NFL weekend. Oh, mama. Did anybody have the Patriots winning? Anyone? Good on you if you did. I didn't. Cost me my ticket too. PlayAlberta.ca. So that's what happens. That's why you play the games. You never know what can happen. But man, the Bengals offense looked horrible in that game. Like it was brutal. Absolutely brutal. Some things that weren't brutal. Cons, what did we talk about last week? Sam Darnold. What did I said Sam Darnold's my guy for surprise quarterback of the year. I know it's only one game. I understand it's only one game, but set a career high for most completions consecutively to start a game in his career. And now it's the Giants. And oh my goodness, probably what to describe the Giants game would be this. If the artificial turf was a receiver, they'd have been very good. How many passes did Jones throw into the turf? That was stunning to me. I can't wait to talk to Struds tomorrow. But man, Danny Deuce, woof, that was a rough outing for him in that game. The Saints all over Carolina, lots of play action coming from them, and it looked great. The Texans and the Colts, very good game. The Bills with a big comeback over the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the Jaguars. Like the Jaguars, you're up 14-0, and then you score 3 points the rest of the game, lose on a last-second field goal. Like the Jags are that. I don't know who the Jags are in any other sport, but think of a team that you've been waiting for to get better, and they tease you, and then they always find a way to lose when it matters. They were 8-3 last year to start the season, and then missed the playoffs. And then they lose that game yesterday. Whew, that's a tough one for them. What about Baker Mayfield? Now, it's Commanders, sure, but Baker Mayfield looked unreal yesterday. The Browns offense, I love it. I hope the Browns absolutely, you deserve everything you get as an organization when you sign Watson as your quarterback to guaranteed money contract like that. I love to see it. I'm sorry, Browns fans. Jack Michaels, Jay Doughton, good buddies. I'm sorry, but your organization deserves it. It was a terrible signing, and you're going to pay for it for quite some time. And then the Lions and the Rams, Cooper Kupp had 21 passes thrown his way. Now, I know that the injury played a part in it, but 21. I don't even know what the record is in the NFL, but that's got to be close.
28, whispered in there from Declan Kruger, our producer.
28 to who? Do you know, Deck?
Brandon Marshall. Was that when he had 15 receptions?
Wow.
That makes sense. They fed him the ball.
Okay.
Cooper Kupp, though, I mean, just watching him, he's such a clean route runner. He does everything right. And obviously Puka Nacua going down. He was targeted 4 times in the game already, had 4 receptions, but not enough. But that was something. That was the main focal point of their offense for sure.
Yeah. So, well, hey guys, Darnold doing that against the Giants isn't impressive. Hey, you can only do it against the teams that are on the schedule for you. It's just that simple. They look confident. It's one game. I understand it. I said it's one game, but still. It shows you that Warren Moon might have been onto something when he said on our very show, there's not a lack of quarterbacks. There's a lack of patience in developing young quarterbacks. And I think he might know a thing or two about it. So there you go. So Marshall had the most catches with 21 in a game and was targeted 28 times. Oh, no. How many catches did he have in the game? Did he have 21 catches, Cons? That seems high.
Confirmed.
Yeah. Okay.
Stat boy Declan. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, if Puka's out there, that will be, it was against the Colts. So if Puka's out for a while, and Cooper Kupp, before Puka was on the scene, that guy was getting balls thrown his way and catching balls left and right. So we maybe shouldn't be surprised. I wonder how far Cooper Kupp dropped in some of people's fantasy drafts. Like, was he a 5th, 6th? Where'd you get him? But I won't be surprised at all if he stays healthy that he will be a target machine and a reception machine for certain. Also, the weekend, we mentioned the CFL for the Elks, so that's huge. You can get involved. You can text us 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Was there any big surprise for you? To me, the biggest surprise was how bad the Bengals looked offensively. Like, they only gave up 16 points and they lost. Like, it wasn't like their defense was terrible. It was just their offense was absolutely anemic. And now Joe Burrow said after the game, well, it wasn't just because of Chase. Now T. Higgins wasn't in the lineup either. I get it, but I don't know. Like, hey, give Mayo credit and the Patriots. They still had to do something, and they did enough to win. But What about the Panthers, Cons? Like, are they that bad?
Yes. Yeah, I think they are. I mean, we saw it last year. Bryce Young, truth serum in that organization. I know they'll say they should have taken CJ Stroud, the more prototypical NFL quarterback size. Bryce Young, when he doesn't have the recruits around him that he had at Alabama and the offensive line that he had there, maybe just a little bit tougher for him. But you look all over this team. Where are the weapons that really scare you? Love Chuba Hubbard. Miles Sanders is okay. The offensive line isn't nowhere near good enough. Defensively, they traded away Brian Burns, probably their best player they've had on that defensive side of the ball since maybe a Luke Kuechly or a Julius Peppers. They just don't have a lot of talent. And then to make it worse, Derek Brown, probably their best defensive guy, is out for the rest of the season with a knee injury, it's looking like now. So they're going to lose a whole lot of games. I don't know if that's going to lead to a new receiver, maybe a stud left tackle to try to block for them. From what I've heard, Ike Kwanu, who they drafted a few years ago, hasn't really lived up to expectations. But yeah, they are a bad football team. Credit to the New Orleans Saints going out there and doing what they had to do. I mean, Derek Carr did look very good, but I think that's more of an indication of how bad the Carolina Panthers are this year.
Guys, Peterson on the Jaguars has to go. He's overrated as a 500 coach, wasting a huge talent, a JP on the island. Well, it is a valid question. At some point, you wonder, what's going on. Because it's one step forward, one step back. Always for the Jaguars. Always. Now, it's only one game. And the Dolphins, hey, we know the Dolphins are good. But you're up 14-0, and then you only score 3 more points the rest of the game. Figure it out. To me, you just have to find a way to put that game away. And they didn't do it. The Elks, big crowd, biggest crowd of the season. Everybody goes home happy. The after the game field was absolutely jammed with lots of kids having the time of their lives, running on the field. Right? Lots of teams do it. It's a smart thing to do. It's a very easy way to keep. I can tell you, my 10-year-old and his buddies, that's their favorite. Like, they love the game, but they get on the field and now they're pretending they're Trey Ford and other players, and they're actually, the one thing now. Bethel Thompson was out there for a bit, but I'm telling you, if the Elks, you start sending 1 or 2 random players out on the field afterwards to sign autographs for kids, now you've hit the jackpot even more. I'm telling you, it's a big deal. So those small little things add up, especially for an organization that desperately needs to get to a younger fan base. So if you have families who have young kids, well, now you know what, and you get those kids and they get used to going to games growing up. Oh, I went, like, how many people? I went to the Not Old Gang, and then I became a season ticket holder, right? Because you were there all the time. Just became a creature of habit. That's what you like to do. It's family affordable. Obviously, it helps when your team wins. That was a huge win at home. Only their second of the season. How about only their 4th in their last 31 home games? Yeah, that's right. They went 0-9, 0-7. Then they went 2-7, and now they're 2-4. 4-27. But hey, you got to start winning at some point, and maybe that's it. Now their next game will be monumental for the Elks. It's a huge game. Taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the 21st of September. Another Saturday game at 5:00. They seem to like those games that time. I think that's 4 or 5 in a row home games. Saturday at 5:00. The weather's unreal. I will say, we were on the sun side, and in the first half, it's just baking. Normally, I sit on the other side, but we'd gotten some tickets, and so we sat on that side, and I could not believe how hot. Now, the second half was unreal. You're out of the sun, and it was a beautiful night. It was great. But that first half was, like, when your kids are begging for water, that's when you know it's hot. So it was a good problem to have, but good for the Elks. And I'll say this about the Calgary Stampeders. What direction are they going? Why didn't Jake Meyer start the second half? Are you joking? Bonner looked brutal. Look at his first interception in the end zone. That may be one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen thrown. There was no receiver even close. He didn't overthrow anyone. It's like he panicked and just threw the ball. And that totally changed the game. They were up 3-2 at that point. If they score, they're up 10-2. They miss. It's an interception. Edmonton walks down the field, scores. Touchdown. And it's and from there, it's pretty much game over. But he never looked comfortable. The game was actually still within reach at halftime if you're the Stampeders. Meyer's your guy. Like, there was nothing that Bonner did in the first half that maybe say, "Hey, geez, got to keep playing this guy." But to me, there's one where the coach's ego is like, nope, I said Jake Meyer wasn't going to play and he's not going to play. So I don't understand that. But there's an organization that's right now they're struggling big time. And I'm perplexed heavily by that decision. Heavily. Did not make much sense to me. Jason Shivers, the D coordinator of the Elks, will join us next. We got Petrillo, Brown, Bill Bender, lots of NFL, Farhan Lalji, and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 41, never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Ready to tackle your toughest tasks? Edmonton Kubota has you covered with the all-new M8 Series tractor with powerful 181 and 201 horsepower engines, Cummins power, and loader readiness. It's built to handle any challenge. And now, for a limited time, get a free 4-year extended warranty when you drive off with an M8 Series tractor. Don't miss out on this unbeatable offer. Visit Edmonton Kubota today and power up your productivity. Edmonton Kubota, where power meets performance.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? Every Friday after 4 p.m., it's 9 and Dine Fridays. Includes golf for two with a power cart at Cattail Crossing and a $50 food voucher at Out of Bounds Restaurant. Only $119.99. Tea times can be booked at cattailcrossing.ca.
It's the final week of the Brick's famous tent sale, and everything must go. Take up to 70% off clearance items in the tent and store, and find amazing deals in every other department before it's too late. Take up to $1,400 off sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and up to 50% off mattresses. Hurry in while the tents are still up and the prices are down. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Jonathan and Murray are friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Except when they talk about which stadium is more fun in the summer.
Dude, Commonwealth has Elks Fan Park. Tailgating at its finest.
But it can't compare to the old ballpark in the River Valley. Riverhawks games are electric. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on. So pick some up for your summer pregame snack.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
PWHL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the Power Play 24/7 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Hey, it's Brad McQuarrie from St. Albert Dodge. It's September, back to school time, and we're making it easier with great deals, like up to 10 grand cash back on selected vehicles, 20% off 2024 Ram 1500s, no payments for 90 days on selected vehicles, and how's this? A brand new Jeep Compass 4x4 for only $37,000. If you're looking for a new vehicle, don't buy until you talk to us. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
.25. Welcome back. Monday edition of the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game all sorts of different line bets and prop bets you want for, well, not prop bets, but in-game personal for players and teams. If you want to get in on the Monday night or tonight, get in PlayAlberta.ca. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. There's lots of hype about the Jets. We'll see if they live up to it. or not. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment, innovative market leader across Western Canada. Properties including the Seattle Thunderbirds, Spruce Grove Saints, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and now the Female Super League. That's Silent Rides Sports and Entertainment. And we are joined by the defensive coordinator of the Edmonton Elks, Jason Shivers. Joins us, Coach. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Boom. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. Your defense here, all of a sudden, it's ball hawk mania. 9 interceptions in the last 2 games, and I know that last year's a lot of younger guys. This year come in more experienced a little bit, and even early on you didn't give up a ton of points, but lately they becoming real ball hawks and turning over the ball. Is it just good reads from the players? Is there a slight little change? What have you seen that's allowed your team to have 9 interceptions in 2 games?
Well, credit to the players, just continuous growth, them understanding and getting more familiar with the scheme, even though, we, Jones ran a similar scheme to us. I think it just took a little time for them to get on and catch on to the way we were coaching it. Marcus Clun, Amir Ishmael, we've both been doing a great job. Armando Sewell, we got a lot of good dudes helping out, but yeah, it just took some time, man, for them to really understand and see the game that we wanted them to see it. But now they're seeing it.
As a coordinator, Jason, I'm assuming you have to maybe preach patience to yourself at times until the players really see it, because you can see it sometimes, but the game's so fast, so much of the experience is like you can't speed it up. You can't buy experience. You just have to earn it.
That's right. And this group is growing together because, really it's only their second year, playing together, and some pieces are in different spots than they played the previous year. So, yeah, and I think the in-play communication, it takes time for that to grow. We have about, two rookies for sure out there, but at one point in time, we had about 3 rookies and we had about 3 second-year players. So, it still takes a lot of time. I know, like a lot of people like to say, oh, you're not a vet after, the first 6 in the CFL, but it still takes time to get on the communication level, see things, and be out there hunting like a pack of wolves.
Speaking of hunting like a pack of wolves, you have 2 of the top 3 tacklers in Morgan and Alexander. And I know sometimes people say, well, if you're tackling too much, it's because you're on the field. But that's not really the case with you guys. You're not on the field that much. What is it about those 2 specifically that's allowed them to be around the ball so much?
Well, a little bit of it is a scheme. Nick plays the will. Nick Anderson plays the will, obviously. So, people try to attack us, our Sams and our Wills in the box, especially because of the alignments that we play with. And I think that they've done a great job, both of them, Niles and Nick, of finding ways to make tackles and continue to create different scenarios where they're not going 1-for-1. And that's something big that we preach a lot. It's not going 1-for-1. And so those guys are really doing outstanding things if they're not going 1-for-1 and they're making that many tackles. They're having tons of production.
Well, he's a player, that doesn't have a lot of experience, Coach, and yet he seems to have caught on, maybe quicker than you expected. I don't know if that's a fair assessment or not, but were you expecting him to be this much of a difference maker for your defense in Anderson?
Well, I know those positions tend to, like I say, have high production. It just depends on the player and how they're going to play it. But I knew Nick was going to be good, especially in training camp. And then, he's just really grown because he was a Mike linebacker by trade. So for him to, he had to settle in to being out there on the edge in space and making plays. So he's doing a great job. Credit to him.
What do you do in the bye week? Do you get away from it, or are you already focused on Winnipeg? What's your plan of attack this week as the D coordinator?
Well, I tend to try to stay a couple weeks ahead. So, breaking down the film so I can know what's going on with those teams, kind of familiarizing myself with that, especially because we haven't played Winnipeg. But yeah, I do get away a couple days. I'm on the golf course right now. I'm just taking a little pause, waiting for the cart to come around and get some hot dogs. And then, on Wednesday, I'll get back to it. I'll start really dialing back in and getting back on schedule. And then that's kind of what the bye week is for me.
How's your golf game?
Not good.
Now, have you ever had a golf lesson?
No, but I'm self-taught and I'm self-critical. But so far today, I've managed to hit all the different swings. I hit a slicer, I hit a non-slicer. I didn't open the club head. I didn't close the club head. So I'm practicing all the different good swings.
Well, it's good, I guess, to have variety in your game. But I do find it somewhat funny how to get good at football, it's repetition and you need good coaching. Yet most of us never go and get a lesson in golf. How come you've never had a lesson?
I actually should get a lesson. My niece in Arizona, she's actually an instructor, and my nephew. Man. So, and I just never really. I don't know. I think it's kind of that whole part of you learn a sport. That's the way you've learned to do things. You've learned by doing trial and error. So. It's kind of, I think that's what it is. But one day I'm going to get a lesson, one day.
Defensive coordinator of the Elks, Jason Shivers, joins us. You mentioned you haven't played Winnipeg, but as a coach, are you watching every other game when you're not playing, if you can live, or is it better in film? Where do you come out on it?
No, I'd like to watch every game live. I'm a fan, first and foremost. Now I'm a rabid fan. Of the CFL and the CFL game. So I love to watch every game live, the television production, all of that. But then obviously go back and, watch it as we prepare. But I try to watch it live and put it in my data bank and try to learn from things that's happening within the week, within the league, so that we can bring that information to our players.
You talked earlier about, you have good players, but, they're succeeding in the scheme you've had, Coach. Are you able to, now that you know the guys and your players you talk about in the secondary, maybe they got more experience, a little bit more comfortable, can you alter what you do defensively? Or is now not, because they have more experience? Can you put more on their plate? Or is it better just say, nah, we're rolling, we're not changing?
I think they're actually handling a lot. We put in a lot through the first 6 weeks. We pulled back. We reinstalled. We came back with all that information again through the next 6. So I think that this time through that they're ready to explode and do some things on a bigger level and keep quarterbacks guessing, especially on the back end. I mean, our front, they're all working together, communicating. They're controlling a lot of that when it comes to in the game. I'm just putting them in the right position, and then they go from there. So, like I tell them all the time, man, that by the end of the season, it's last 6, and then when we get in the playoffs, it's more so I want them to have they'll know the canvas, they'll have all that, but I want them to control the paintbrush and make plays.
The middle of the field is where every offense wants to attack. And at times, if they do it right, you can expose a defense a little bit. What is so difficult about defending the middle of the field consistently?
Well, it depends on what type of defense you want to be. We play with the middle open a lot, cover twos and quarter schemes, quarter half schemes. So everybody knows that. And that's where people try to attack you. But, if you close the middle, then there's certain coverages you have to run to close the middle. So I think that most teams right now in the CFL are trying to attack the cut side. So where's a true triangle, and they're trying to have a vertical route and a bender behind it. I mean, that's the flavor of the year this year in the CFL.
So as a D coordinator, and you see that, do you adapt to that, or did you know that going in, or is that just something that's kind of progressed and gone on as the season's gone on? Now we're into the final third of the year.
Well, I think that, you obviously have to do a self-scout. You have to know yourself, what you're doing. But we like to play the game. We like to make adjustments. So, yeah, if I, see a team starting to attack more, I close the middle up, and that's the chess match that's going on between the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
How did your responsibilities change with the coaching change? Chris Jones left. There's no one came in to replace him. Obviously, you were there. Jarius Jackson was there. He got the interim head coaching title. But any added responsibility, anything different for you since the coaching change?
I mean, we obviously, I'm supporting Jarius as much as I can in any role they need me to do. So, I mean, maybe some more conversations are being had that we used to have. But this staff is built to be self-sufficient. And, that's the one thing that Chris Jones did do. He did teach us well on how to be a GM, how to be a coordinator, how to be a position coach. And so I think all of that is just a culmination of what you're seeing, that we just continue to move forward once he moved on and we picked up the pieces. So, yeah, added responsibilities definitely in different places, but really we're all just down to earth, hardworking dudes, and like whatever job comes, if we need to do it, we'll do it.
Assistant head coach, defensive coordinator of the Elks, Jason Shivers, joins us. Jason, Almondo Sewell comes in with one of the more dominant tackles we've seen in a long time, incredibly strong. What have you seen in his growth as a coach this year?
Well, it's amazing to see Mondo, actually say more than 2 words. I call him the Rhino all the time when he played, because he just be going through people. Fearless. And but it's been really great. He's doing a great job with his group. He's got to learn and meet these guys at where they're at as far as what they need every day in practice, drills, film. He puts a lot of extra time in with the film. So he's been great just learning that. And like I say, I mean, he's really coming along. He's impressing me every day, and he's just getting better every day. He's taking it as a challenge, and every day he's trying to add something new to his game to make him a better coach.
The organization just announced last week that Aaron Grimes has come in. Is going to be an ambassador for the team, but also a defensive assistant. Can you go into what his responsibilities will be as a defensive assistant?
Yeah, he'll be assisting me breaking down film, so data entry, just teaching him the game from that perspective, where he can start to learn offenses even more. As a player, when you play as long as he played, you always feel like you were at the top of your game. That you can learn more, but you felt like you really know the game. But then as you transition into a coach, you find out that there were so many more other tangible things happening behind the scenes or within the game that you may have didn't pay attention to as a player.
Coach, we appreciate your time. We'll let you get back to the golf course. Keep it down the middle and enjoy the bye week.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me.
There's Jason Shivers. He's the defensive coordinator, assistant head coach for the Green and Gold, and that's 9 interceptions in the last 2 weeks. Nick Anderson's having himself excellent first year for the Green and Gold. Obviously, Miles at the middle linebacker position, leading the CFL in tackles. He's been pretty impressive for Edmonton as well. So you know what, their defense is coming around. As he said, their scheme every offense to see if they can repeatedly expose it. And that's the game of cat and mouse. And teams really haven't been able to do that lately against their defense. Now, it helps somewhat when your offense is on the field more, no question. But the defense has really helped themselves lately by getting off the field with turnovers. You got 9 interceptions in 2 games for the Green and Gold. That's significant improvement. 239. Speaking of significant, speaking of football, if we go European football, Canadian soccer, did you see the match, Canada versus the USA? Ooh. And does Canada have an up-and-comer when it comes to a finisher that I'm not sure anybody expected? Because every time this guy gets on the pitch, he seems to score. Andy Petrillo will join us next. We'll touch on that. And also, a fantastic career ended on the weekend. We'll talk about that and more on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Booster Juice has a secret. It's a secret menu of secret smoothies you can only see on the Booster Rewards app. Oh, wait. Guess it's not a secret anymore. Visit any Booster Juice and ask for the Raspberry Rapture, the Strawberry Dip, the Ocean's Tide, the Go Mango, or the Berry Bloom. Made with strawberries, raspberries, passion fruit, guava, and vanilla frozen yogurt. The secret's out. Tell anyone you want. Find the exclusive secret smoothie menu on the Booster Rewards app and sneak into a Booster Juice near you.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But
When it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction and sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble.
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Now the heroes hiding in plain sight. GS Construction. But who are these supermen and women in hard hat? They're the ones with the power to offer services such as infrastructure rehabilitation, water and drainage solutions, land development, general contracting, and more. And when they're finished doing what they do best, everything is covered and invisible to everyone's eye. So don't look for them in the sky. They're out on the roads and in your neighborhoods. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and the time to think about winterizing your RV is before the snow flies. There's a lot of steps you need to take to winterize your trailer or motorhome.
And you have to get every step right every single time. Right, Rick?
That's right, Bob, because if you make even a little mistake, you might not realize it till spring. And by then, it's too late to fix what you got wrong.
Hey, Rick, do you winterize your own trailer?
Not anymore, Bob. I hired people who are smarter than me. Genius technicians who check every component, dozens of systems to be maintained and protected. And today, we offer that service to you, starting at $99. Every winterization package comes with a full report in writing, so you know what to expect come spring. If you're confident to do it yourself, have at it. If you're like me and you'd rather have this done by somebody who knows what they're doing, then come to Noble, and we'll take care of you.
And that's Noble.
NoBullRV.ca.
Monday afternoon continues on the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Lovely Monday, man. It's busy. There's lots going on. It's such a great time. Sports fans aren't just jazzed up. It's just like now you get back into it. It's just like an overload of sports. You got NFL, you got CFL, NHL camps are right around the corner. Rookie camps get going this weekend with a lot of the tournaments. You had a soccer-friendly matchup. You have MLB playoffs down the stretch. Yeah. F1, God, IndyCar. This is awesome. I love it. So much going on. Junior football, the big tough loss on Friday to the Dinos. Obviously, they would have liked to play better in that game. They didn't. So that's why we love sports so much. Unexpected. Let's get to our soccer report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Only no payments, no interest for 1 full year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer long at legacyheating.ca. As we welcome back to the show Andy Petrillo from CBC and One Soccer. Andy, how you doing? Good afternoon.
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Now, just for everybody who's watching, you're in the back seat, so you're not driving as they're moving to a big event tonight, just so for safety, if people are wondering what's going on. But
no, I'm not driving.
A big match for the men's soccer program, a big win, and it's got USA Soccer. They're all fired up because they lost to Canada again. But I want to get your thoughts on, all this guy does is score goals for Canada. And I'm not talking about Jonathan David. We'll get to him to a second. But young Scheffelberg, I don't know, this guy just, I like him. He's spunky. He just finds ways to score goals when he gets on the pitch.
Well, and his mentality is to shoot first all the time. It's just whenever the ball goes to his feet, he's going to shoot. Does he have the finesse to really dribble? Does he have the finesse to pass? Not really, but I think that's catching the opposition off guard. That's exactly his strength. Is you can't teach speed, number one, and he has a ton of speed. So he's blowing past a lot of guys, and if anyone wants to try and stop him, they end up fouling him. So he draws fouls, draws free kicks, which is a lovely thing as well. And yeah, anytime he gets the ball, he just shoots. So it doesn't really allow any kind of opposition any time to set up or prepare for it. It just releases from his foot so quickly. And he's been an absolute joy to watch. He's obviously been, a player who's been developing and growing for the last year or so, but we've really seen him come into his own under Jesse Marsh. Jesse Marsh is saying, all right, you've been a super sub for, quite some time here, but I'm going to give you a chance to be a starter, kid, and let's see what you can do. And I just don't think we go back, Jason. I mean, I'm not saying that, in the world of soccer, which is full of tactics, I'm not saying that there isn't a possibility that maybe Jesse Marsh wants to try something new, especially with Sam Adekubi being healthy again, coming back into camp, although I don't know how much playing time he'll get, because there are still some people clamoring to see Alphonso Davies a little further up the pitch. So barring Jesse Marsh feeling like doing that and replacing Schaffelberg with Davies, maybe, I just don't see us talking about Schaffelberg being on the bench. He's got to be a starter. He has just been so dynamic for this team for the better part of half a year.
And then you throw in, Kyle Aaron was great for the last few years. Jonathan David just ties him for most goals for a Canadian man, 29th for that. And David's had himself a pretty good season again. Canada's got some real legit offensive threats now.
They do. And Jesse Marsh, and I'll put up my hand in saying that, I'm a very impatient person. So when Jesse Marsh took over and he was trying some new tactics with the team and we weren't seeing Kyle Aaron or Jonathan David score, yes, I was getting a little frustrated, and Jesse Marsh was preaching patience because he's like, I'm putting them in a different position right now. I need them to be involved a little bit more defensively. I need their hold-up play to be a little bit stronger as well, and then kind of unleash them from there. Now, having said that, the score line, which was 2-1 Canada over USA, it was still very flattering to the United States. The Canadians outshot the U.S. in the first half, 11-1 alone. Yeah. So I just think that there's still room for improvement as far as hitting the target, because against lesser opponents, Jason, you have to bury those because you don't want lesser opponents hanging around. And then definitely against stronger opponents, you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable to, like the American goal, for example. I mean, it's a friendly, so there's no VAR. That American goal was offside, right? Yeah. So you don't want to leave yourself, open to chance either, with even a better team being able to make it close. So they still have a lot of work to do on capitalizing, but they do have threats from all over. And let's not forget, Tajon Buchanan, he broke his leg, though, in preparation for Copa. Yes. He's not around, but he's already back on the field, right? So with his club team, so who knows? But yeah, you're right. There's, Schaffelberg has just added himself to the offensive threat that Canada has.
Andy Petrillo joins us. And then switching to the other side, Bombito, Andy, this guy he's looking like a force, controlling the play on the back end. What have you made about him? And like he's pretty young as far as inexperience goes on the national stage. But my goodness, like just from the last time I saw him a few months ago, like he looked like he took, two massive steps.
Yeah, and doesn't he look bigger? And that's
Yes.
and it's a compliment. And he also looks bigger and not slower.
Yes.
So to your point, I mean, this is a guy who's in his mid-20s, but yes, very inexperienced when it comes to the national team. And he's had to take the long route. I mean, this is a guy who played in League One Quebec. Like, this is a guy who, went to colleges unknown just to get playing time and take a route that was a little bit longer to get to the national team. And here he is now physically growing into himself, making the move to Liga. And it looks like he's already put on some muscle mass, even in like the month that we've seen him, but not slower by any means. And the thing is it's not that he's just physically a force, but mentally he's so smart. He knows exactly where to be. He never let the opposition get on the inside of him. He always maintained his position where his back was to his own goal. No one ever beat him. His tackles are clean. His timing is perfect. And we wondered, like, was Bombito and Derek Cornelius your center back pairing? Was that a fluke? Was that lightning in a bottle, what we were able to see them do in the two friendlies before Copa and then Copa? And then they picked up right where they left off, which was so refreshing. Obviously a little scary to see Derek Cornelius take that knock to the head. He stayed in the game for a little bit, but had to be substituted out. But we haven't heard anything as far as him, no longer being with camp. So, head injury, you always have to be careful. It's like sometimes something that doesn't look like a big deal keeps a guy out for months. Sometimes a guy looks like he's got run over and then he's good to go the next day, right? So they're just keeping an eye on it. But yeah, the two of them just once again looking fantastic.
Now they got Mexico coming up here in a few days. What do you make of this match? Do you see any differences as far as tactics or lineup coming for Canada?
Yeah, well, first things first, they're going to be in Texas for this game. It is going to be a heavy Mexican crowd. But that's one thing this Canadian squad has already learned. Like Jesse Marsh, that was his 9th game, by the way. Going up against Mexico will be his 10th game, manager of Canada, yet to play a home game. So they've always been in hostile territory. But once again, they'll have to deal with that. They, too, have a new coach in Javier Aguirre, Mexico. So you know that they're trying to fine-tune some stuff, or he's trying to figure out some stuff as well with his team. But if there's one thing the Canadians did well against the Americans, was that high press and putting pressure on them and really forcing the American defenders into some really bad passes that the Canadians were able to take advantage of. I don't know if they'll be able to do that against Mexico. I think Mexico can handle that a little bit better. So I think we're going to see the Canadians their endurance, their speed, their ability to make split second decisions on the pitch, I think are going to be really tested as well. The midfield, I think, might be a little bit more busy. We saw Matthew Choinière get that start with Stefan Eustáquio. Will he go with Jonathan Osorio just because he has a little bit more experience and he's gotten the job done against Mexico in the past? He scored against Mexico. So, will Jesse Marsh make a little change like that? Because I think Mexico can handle that high press a little bit better. So the Canadians will definitely have to be sharper on Tuesday.
Andy Petrillo joined us. Andy, before I let you go, I want to talk about one of your colleagues who was been part of the Olympics and the Paralympics and so many events for a long, long time. Scott Russell did his final broadcast. Under the future, you know what? And hey, I like the raw emotion. I'm a big fan of raw emotion. What can you say about Scott and what he's done and maybe what you've learned from him over the last few years?
Oh, Jason, I don't know if we'd have enough for that. Scott's meant everything, to me. I thought I loved the Olympics and I thought I knew the Olympics and I thought I knew these athletes well until I met Scott Russell. And he really taught me what mattered when it came to the athletes and what mattered to them, what mattered to their families, right down to, hey, Andy, every time you talk about an athlete, it's important to mention their hometown. Certain sports, gymnastics or figure skating, where they belong to clubs, mention their clubs. Their teammates back home are going to go crazy when you mention it. And it's all these little things of what matters to athletes. And he taught me a lot. He's a great friend. He cares so much about high performance sport. He had a motto of, we never wanted Canada to meet Canadian athletes for the first time on the podium. He wanted to share their stories all the time. So, I know that they appreciated what he did because a lot of the athletes as well, when they heard that he was retiring, there was it's bittersweet. You know, someone's got to move on, but at the same time, you know, someone cradled your sport and your movement so gracefully, and that will be missed. So,
Yes.
I mean, while I will not be doing broadcasts with him on the weekend anymore, I know where he lives, Jason, and his phone number, and I will definitely be bugging him.
Yeah. Well, Andy, have a good evening tonight, and we will chat with you next Monday. Have a great day.
Great. Thanks, guys.
There you go. That's Andy Petrillo from CBC Sports and One Soccer. Yeah, Scott Russell for decades covered the Olympics and many other events, right? Volleyball for a long time, curling. Obviously was in the NHL for many years. Fantastic broadcast. I recommend, if you hadn't seen it, it's on YouTube. Maybe I'll share it on my Twitter or my X page, but we'll put it up on our Facebook page. His final sign-off was perfect. I highly recommend, later tonight, if you have some time, to check it out. 2:55, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell, your local electrical distributor since 1976, supplying high-end electrical gear for the City of Champs and all of Alberta. You can order 24/7 online in their store, ewel.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Week 1 of the NFL schedule wraps up tonight out in Santa Clara as the San Francisco 49ers hosting the New York Jets. That one gets going at 6:15. Good news for Bills fans. Quarterback Josh Allen has been cleared to practice in Monday's walkthrough and playing the game on Thursday as they'll take on the Miami Dolphins. He hurt his non-throwing hand in the 34-28 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Hockey Hall of Fame announced today that Mike Gardner will be appointed to succeed the chair of board at Lanny McDonald at the end of his 10-year term next June. Starting October 1st, Gardner will assume the role of chair-elect to support transitional matters and serve on the search committee for recruitment of a new president and CEO. Major League Baseball, the Jays kicking off a 3-game set against the New York Mets out in Toronto. First pitch set for 5:07. They also got the Marlins and Pirates, Phillies, Rays. The Braves take on the Reds. That's a game being made up from July. Twins up against the Angels. The Guardians take on the White Sox, and the Cubs in Dodger Stadium taking on, of course, the Dodgers. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host, former NHLer Sean Brown, also Arhan Lalji from the CFL on TSN, and Bill Bender of the Sporting News will join us to talk some NFL. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
At Fountain Tire, we love jingles. Get up to 25% off select tires.
Until October 19th.
Plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150.
Restrictions apply.
Book online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the words.
Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time.
You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance.
Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
Have you lost control of your debt following unexpected car troubles, home repairs, an illness, or a divorce? You're not alone. Life happens. My name is Parveen Middleton, a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton, and I'm here to listen to your story. Every day, I craft personalized debt relief solutions to help people like you regain control. Take the first step now. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to book your free consultation.
This summer, as the sun shines, the grass will grow. Tame your yard with the help from the Lawnmower Hospital. Live on an acreage? Save up to $2,000 and get 0% financing for 36 months on select Toro zero-turn tractors. Save up to $2,000 and get 0% financing for 36 months on select Toro zero-turn tractors, OAC. For smaller jobs, go for the Toro Super Recycler with personal pace and electric start. Make summer yard care a breeze with Toro and the Lawnmower Hospital.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
LawnmowerHospital.com.
At Fountain Tire, we love jingles. Get up to 25% off select tires.
Until October 19th.
Plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150.
Restrictions apply.
Look online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Work it, make it, do it. Makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. That don't kill me. Can only make us stronger. I need you to hurry up, man. 'Cause I can't.
Just after 3 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor. Connor Halley with you in Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. And we welcome back to the show after summer, although he made a few appearances, but Sean Brown will start full time once again on Mondays. Brownie, how you doing?
Very good. Good to be back. A few things.
How's your back after a summer of skating?
It's not bad. I'm just in a holding pattern, to be honest with you. My back isn't overly bad. It's the numbness in my toes that is still bothering me. But I guess apparently could last a while. But it's not like
did you have nerve damage?
I don't know. It's just I think the sciatic that's one of the side effects that.
So are you still doing your sciatic stretching?
I'm doing everything.
Is it getting better?
Yeah, I'd say it's getting better. Okay. But you know what? It's not. I mean, it's not like I skate. I can demo drills. I just don't go 100 miles an hour or anything like that. But I can manage my way through it. So, hey, I would take where I'm at now than where I was.
Well, yeah, you sat down without looking like you had a stick up your rear end like you did before the summer. So that's an improvement.
Yeah. So I'm going to get an MRI done and get a few more,
You're looking 40, not like you were 65 before when you'd walk into the studio.
Was I that bad?
Oh, dude, remember when you have to come in, you would stand on the ledge and then you'd walk in and we have like a riser that's maybe 6 inches here to come in the door. And I'd watch you lift up your leg on that riser. I was just like, hey, Brownie. Oh, no, I'm good. I'm like, you're not good.
Hey, it's tough. You know what? I remember Chris Joseph telling me because I was moving around very well on the ice. And, he was like, Jesus, Brownie, you know what? Around 47, 48, close to 50. Is kind of when I started to feel it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Sure enough. I think of that guy daily because it's like, I am feeling it. I'm hopefully, because you know what, the more I stretch, I don't know how you feel. Cause I know you were saying that you stretch in the morning and stuff. It's the more I've never been so limber, but the more I stretch, the tighter I am.
Well, yeah, stretching too much can be detrimental, right? It's doing what's right. Now, I have nothing. I'm no expert about the sciatic, so I wouldn't even try to tell you what to do for that. All I know is what works for me because my glutes are tight all the time, and so I've got a few of these things. And it's not even stretching. I do the one where I put my up against the wall, and then I bend over with my leg that's close to the wall, it goes back out, and then my outside leg is planted. and my son puts his hand on my knee and I have to press against it.
Yeah.
Well, it lights up my glute after 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like it's shaking, but it wakes it up, and I
Yeah.
do that, and it's made a huge difference. So that's not really a stretch.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You might have to ask somebody who's way smarter than
Yeah.
me.
Well, I've had some good advice, and I've seen some really good people that have really helped out. So I'm, you know what, I'm like I said, I'm a lot better than what I was, but man, I don't wish that on anyone.
No, I wouldn't think so. Our next guest, I don't know if he's stretching now. He was he played football, coached football, so he might be walking a little bit gingerly at times. We'll find out. Farhan Lalji joins us, the inaugural Monday nighter of the 24 NFL season is upon us tonight. Farhan is down there. Farhan, my man, how you doing?
I'm good. Everything on me is ginger, though. I'll tell you that right now. Except for my hair, it's all ginger. It's all delicate, and I feel all of my 57 years.
Oh, you're 57? Jeez, you look great for 57. Good for you. Geez, what are you wearing? Like, do you use like some sort of skin cream or something?
No, I just lie about my age and say I'm a lot older than I am, so everybody can say, "No, you look great." No, actually, I'm now that I think about it, I'm actually 56. I don't turn 57 until next June. I don't know why I had myself ahead. My wife's birthday is coming up in a week.
Oh, okay. So you thought you were turning 57, but it's not yours. Well, at least you remembered her birthday, so you're on the right page.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a start.
Yeah, that is a start. Yeah. Hey, speaking of age, the quarterback of the New York Jets tonight, they're in San Fran to take on the 49ers. There is lots of talk and hype about this Jets team. Farhan, you coach football a long time. What do you like on paper? I see a lot of offensive weapons. So what do you think is going to happen come game time?
Yeah, well, you're right. They do have a lot of weapons offensively, and it really is going to come down to the level that Aaron Rodgers can play at. And there's no reason to believe he can't still play the game at a high level. I don't think he's necessarily going to be playing it at an MVP level, but he's going to give the Jets better quarterbacking than they had under Zach Wilson, the last couple of years. And they've got some elite players. You look at a guy like Garrett Wilson, who I think it might be the best or the most talented receiver that Aaron Rodgers has played with outside of Devontae Adams. I mean, and he's had some good ones, whether it's Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, and the list goes on and on in Green Bay. But Garrett Wilson's pretty good, right? And the fact that he's registered over 1,000 yards in each of the last two seasons, despite the quarterbacks that he's been playing with, is a testament to the fact he's pretty good. And then you've got a guy like Mike Williams, who's coming off the ACL injury, but put up some really good numbers when he was healthy with the Chargers. And, he can win those 50-50 contested balls. And he didn't really take part in much of training camp with the preseason, but did take part in practice the last week and a half, and is pretty good by all accounts. And Breece Hall, I think, has the ability to be an impact running back. So, maybe they don't have the depth beyond that, and they've also got, they're kind of average at tight end, but it's also a team that's really upgraded their offensive line from last year as they try to do what they can to keep the quarterback upright. So I think if you're a Jets fan, you've got reason to be optimistic because we know this team can play defense. And despite what they couldn't do at quarterback, they did win 7 games last year. So they weren't entirely horrendous, right, from that perspective. So I think people have reason to be optimistic.
And, of course, they got a pretty good opponent in week 1 on the road in San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey, you got Ayuk, you got lots of weapons on their offense. How do you think they're going to manage Christian McCaffrey this year when it comes to snap count and reps and touches?
It's a great question, Jason, and part of that is because they've lost a lot of depth at running back, right? So, before they had, Elijah there in the backfield to go along with McCaffrey, and he is injured. He's got a hamstring tear, so he's basically been put on IR for the entire season. So he's not going to be able to help them at all. And when you look at McCaffrey, he's done very little in training camp because of his own calf issues and even Achilles issues. And even though he says that the Achilles is fine, just hearing the fact that the Achilles could even be a possibility would make me really, really nervous. And this is a player that has had a history of muscle-type injuries, right? He's a very tightly bound athlete, very twitchy that way. And so he doesn't get the breaks and the separations, but he gets a lot of pulls and things like that. So I would absolutely have him on a pitch count early in the year, but that means you got to rely a little bit more on the quarterback and the receivers. And they're very good in both of those areas. But to me, McCaffrey's the guy that stirs the drink for this team. And he's such a unique, versatile piece, so much of the offense runs through him that if you're Kyle Shanahan, it's really, really difficult to manage a player like that.
Farhan Lalji from TSN joined us. We saw the Bengals offense look terrible yesterday against the Patriots, and we know that they didn't have some of their guys around, not necessarily in preseason games, but even in that. What do you make of? Do you think Ayuk's lack of a training camp impacts the offense at all of the 49ers?
To a point, but I mean, he has had a week and a half, and a player of that stature, I don't think it takes long. And also, he held in, he didn't hold out, so he didn't take part in some meetings and some of the other mental stuff to make sure that he's where he needs to be offensively. So I don't know that, it's going to be a huge difference, but, he did a lot more than, say, a Jamar Chase in Cincinnati, right? So when you look at Chase's impact in the game this weekend, there was really none, right? And there were other factors in that game in terms of how much New England was able to possess the ball and keep Joe Burrow off the field. But I do think that Ayuk can be much more of a factor in San Francisco's offense than, say, Chase was in Cincinnati. So I think there'll be less of a drop-off there.
Farhan Lalji Jones. Farhan, let's go to the CFL. The Elks have found themselves, after a terrible start, they're right in the race. They have won 5 of their last 6, and they're 1 point back in Saskatchewan. They have 5 games left. They're only 4 back at BC and Winnipeg, but I think 3rd place in the West is probably the most realistic landing spot for them. They've announced Trey Ford will start, which is, to me, the right decision. I don't care if Bethel Thompson was healthy or not. Trey Ford's your future. And when Trey Ford starts, they've actually won more games anyway. But what do you make of the green and gold? And where would you put their chances to make the playoffs with their next 2 games going up against the Bombers?
Well, first of all, I think they're high. To be honest, I think Edmonton right now is playing at a higher level on both sides of the ball than Winnipeg is. Like, Winnipeg's defense has been very good, but offensively they still are lacking a little bit right now. And it surprises me because when, the team was able to tread water and then all of a sudden they got Kenny Lawler back, I thought, okay, wow, the sky's the limit. They're just going to take off from here. But they really haven't done that, right? He hasn't been as dominant as his talent level would suggest, right? So when I look at Edmonton, they've got back-to-back games with Winnipeg, and that's going to be a really compelling battle for me. Because I think Edmonton can beat anybody right now. Like, they're playing that good. I said after their last win, like the first win against Calgary on Labor Day, that I think this team is a legitimate Grey Cup contender. And quite frankly, if they win both games against Winnipeg, and I think more likely the 2 teams are going to split, but if they were able to pull off 2 wins, I think second place is not out of the question, which means a home playoff game, right? And they had a great crowd this past weekend. So I think on both sides of the ball, and I don't think it's wrong to go back to Trey Ford, because if he struggles, you can always go back to McLeod. But Trey Ford, in the 6 quarters that he played, I loved what he was doing. And he wasn't the same Trey Ford that he was last year, where so much of his success was dependent on his legs. He was actually hanging in and reading defenses and getting the second and third looks, and was patient in the pocket, along with what he can do with his legs, right? So if that's Trey Ford, and he can be that Trey Ford on a consistent basis and just build from those 6 quarters, I think the sky's the limit for this player. So, I'm excited to watch him play and come back from injury. He's going to have a fair bit of time here with the bye week coming up for him to get really comfortable before that. And I'm excited for what that matchup's going to look like. I think Edmonton-Winnipeg is going to be more compelling than any of the back-to-back Labor Day matchups in my mind.
What do you make of the Bombers and Caleros?
Well, I think they've been good, but I think offense is where they're lacking, right? And I think there's a ceiling for them to get to it. I think they can get there, because it's not like Zach Caleros is old. It's not like Brady Oliveira has taken a step back. It's not like Kenny Lawler is slower, right? And they've also got Wolodarski back. So they're missing Schoen, who's a big piece, but they've got all the other pieces that are there. And Ontario Wilson isn't chopped liver, so they should be better than they are. I know their offensive line has been ordinary. It looks like Chris Streveler is going to be out a while, so that takes away their changeup and affects them in short yardage as well. So I'm not sure what it is, but that offense just seems to be missing something. And I don't think it's an indictment on the individuals. I can't put my finger on why, other than to say maybe the offensive line is a part of it, because, Zach doesn't have all the time in the world to get through his progressions. But so I'm trying to figure out what the real issue there is. But offensively, they're just not the same.
Farhan, if I bring it back to the NFL, there was 3 rookie quarterbacks that made their debuts there Caleb Wilson, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix. Is there anything that surprised you in any of the games that you watched?
Yeah, I was surprised that that Caleb Williams didn't show more, right? I mean, just sitting there right around 100 yards and just didn't look the way I thought he would relative on all the training camp reports, what little he did in the preseason. I just thought there was going to be more there. I just wasn't necessarily in sync with Keenan Allen, wasn't necessarily in sync with Roma Dunze, who's now a little bit banged up. So I thought their offense would have a little bit more to offer early on. And look, I know he's a rookie, but he had time. He had time, and he just. I found I thought he'd be at a higher level. Now again, this is early. It's week 1. I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I thought Jaden Daniels, of the 3 rookie quarterbacks, was probably the best. Did a little bit more with his legs in terms of his ability to score. Bo Nix, I think Bo Nix has got really average pieces around him, right? Chicago's got some good pieces. Washington's got some good pieces. Denver doesn't. So I do think that that's going to take a bit of time. And then, Seattle figured it out in the second half, and their defense really took over that game. And I think Seattle's defense has the ability to be really, really good. So, and Bo Nix, when in his college days, has struggled against in Seattle and against the Huskies. So I'm not overly surprised at that. But, overall, to be honest, I thought quarterback play was off, right? I think Bill Belichick quoted a stat that more than half the teams threw for under 175 yards. So you look at just offense generally, I think that it left a lot to be desired. There were a lot of teams that just looked pretty ordinary in week 1 of the season.
Farhan, enjoy the game tonight. It should be a great stretch run down the season here in the CFL. Elks fans, biggest crowd of the year. They're excited, and a huge game coming up on the 21st in Edmonton against the Bombers. Should be a heck of a matchup. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, buddy. And if you're an Edmonton sports fan, don't forget about the Elks now that this hockey team has started. They got a long ways to go. It's football. It's the most important games of the year. Lock into that. If you came to the last game and got interested, stay interested.
Yeah. Oh, I think they will. You know what? They won. And that's they've only won 4 of their last 31 home games. And so I think that win, I said before the week, I thought it was a must-win game for that team, not only for the standings, but just for their, to try to start getting fans interested again in the team. It helps that you announce Trey Ford right away that he's your starter 2 weeks in advance. And yeah, I think you would have a pretty good crowd coming out again on Saturday, the 21st. Appreciate your time.
All right, bud. Take care.
There you go. That's Farhan Lalonji from TS. And hey, it's a huge game. Now we know the orders are big, but the Elks, you think about it, you play a home game every few weeks. Right? Like it's not that massive of a commitment. I don't think you could have asked for a better schedule. They have so many Saturday games at 5:00. It's perfect for people who have kids because then their kids can get home at a reasonable time. It's perfect if you're a young person and you like to go out and socialize afterwards. And if you're a little bit older, it's perfect because you can get home and you're in bed by 9:00. Like honestly, the Saturday 5:00, especially this summer, like the couldn't have asked for better weather.
And it's reasonable price point too, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
and there's nothing better on a nice day watching a sport, taking in the sun and the atmosphere. And when you have a crowd like that, I mean, it just makes it that much more entertaining. So, I think any team, it's amazing what winning will do, right, for everyone. And now there is a buzz, and hopefully now with where they identify Ford as the quarterback, and I think lots of people are rallying around him. At least I am. I'm kind of a fringe football fan, right? But I am a little bit of a fan of his, and it is interesting, seeing him get an opportunity, and I am kind of watching. But it is to be for that price point and especially at this time of the year where the weather's beautiful, nice. It's fall. It's great being outside.
Hey, guys, I'll say without hesitation, the atmosphere at Saturday's game was the best vibes for an Elks game since the 2015 West Final. That one comes from T. Hupp. He's probably right. I'm trying to think of one since. Because it's been a long slog, especially at home field. There hasn't been a lot of great games. There hasn't been a lot of wins. And that game on Saturday, it's against Calgary. It's a rivalry game. And Edmonton, controlled it. Once Bonner threw that terrible interception in the end zone, really, Edmonton just kind of took the game over from there and really dominated. Was never in trouble. I'm still floored that Dickinson didn't change his quarterback at halftime. The rookie looked overwhelmed and didn't look at all very good. I'm sure his confidence is shot even worse. He's just throwing pick after pick after pick in the second half. And they weren't out of it at halftime. But to me, kind of the stubbornness of the coach not to go back to the guy who's been his guy all year long. I was a little bit perplexed by that decision. When we return, there were a few perplexing outcomes, which is why sports is great. How many people would have had the Bengals losing, and not only losing, but only scoring 10 points? Hey, give the Patriots credit. Give them credit. They won the game. Now, do I think they're going to be a very good team? Probably not, but they found a way to get it done. Some other ones. What about Kirk Cousins and Atlanta's offense? We haven't talked about them. They looked pretty bad. Now, Kyle Pitts did score a touchdown, but not much else going on. But we'll see. Sometimes I look in the NFL, and week one, there are lots of teams where offensively they look terrible. And you're like, well, yeah, they didn't ever play their number one unit in the preseason at all. Like, I think that they've gone almost too far on the worried about injuries in the preseason. Like, I would try to get some reps for my first unit guys. Like, I get that they're all professionals, but we see it year after year for some teams. They look completely out of sync. And that's what Atlanta did for me, especially when you're a new team. Right? He's coming to a new team, maybe different if you're there in year 6, right? Dak Prescott and others like that, maybe a little bit different. So we'll come back. We'll talk more about that. Also, Leon Draisaitl skating today. Connor McDavid did skate. They'll both be going to Vegas for the NHL kickoff tour party, where you have a lot of the league's best and biggest name players. Both of them will be going. The orders, in case you're wondering, medicals are next Wednesday for the veterans, and then they're on the ice for training camp next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then preseason action begins on Sunday, the 22nd, against the Winnipeg Jets before a doubleheader against the Flames on the 23rd. So we'll hear from Draisaitl. Jeff Skinner was out there today. Talked to him. Arvidsson, who feet got tangled up with Connor McDavid, which sent a real hush over the bench. We'll talk to Brownie about that and more when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 12, not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina. Next, you're going to tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they won't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience. The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night stays these fine folks from the swift completion of their appointed work, or something like that. They're the fine folks at GS Construction, and they do like to do their job, which could be infrastructure rehabilitation, water and drainage solutions, land development, general contracting, and dedicated maintenance and emergency repairs. Interested in working for such a fine outfit? GS Construction is always on the lookout for great workers. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
Mr. Rooter goes on a water slide.
Welcome to the Sky Screamer. Please keep your arms crossed over your...
Oh, don't worry about old Mr. Rooter. I'm the last person you have to worry about clogging this pipe.
Actually, it's for your safety.
This plumbing-themed amusement park is amazing. To see the world from inside a giant pipe, it feels like Honey, I Shrunk the Mr. Rooter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm ready to be flushed.
For a plumbing good time, slide into the DMs of Mr. Rooter.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk, family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Booster Juice has a secret. It's a secret menu of secret smoothies you can only see on the Booster Rewards app. Oh, wait. Guess it's not a secret anymore. Visit any Booster Juice and ask for the Berry Bloom, the Go Mango, the Ocean's Tide, the Strawberry Dip, or the Raspberry Rapture. Made with raspberries, cranberries, and vanilla frozen yogurt. The secret's out. Tell anyone you want. Find the exclusive secret smoothie menu on the Booster Rewards app and sneak into a Booster Juice near you.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And when it comes to value, nothing beats an employee price. For a limited time, pay what Ford employees pay during the factory-authorized employee pricing event. You'll see real invoice pricing, and you know you'll get the best deal guaranteed. It's Ford employee pricing on for a limited time where cars always cost less. Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Thanks a lot for those who join us listening live, watching on YouTube, sports1440.ca. You got the app. We love it. Fantastic. So I hope you're having a great day. Lots of football and hockey chatter coming up in the final 2.5 hours of the program. We'll hear from Leon Draisaitl and much more. But first, we'll talk a little NFL as we go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. And you always want to take take action on your savings when it comes to solar for both your business or your residents. They got it all. They can get you all the best deals, save you money. Go to actionelectrical.net. And we wrap up week 1 of the National Football League as the 49ers are set to host tonight the New York Jets. As Bill Bender from the Sporting News joins us. And Bill, it's interesting. You know, there's some unique storylines around both of these teams. The running back depth, the health of McCaffrey in San Francisco, and then the Jets and all of the hype. Like, I can't remember the last time so many people were high on the Jets heading into the season. Where do you come out on the Jets specifically? And then we'll move to the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers' second try at a debut, and I think it won't create as much hype as last year. I mean, obviously it didn't last very long, but I think the optimism around the Jets is built around Aaron Rodgers and a young core of playmakers that includes Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, some others, and the fact that they probably feel like they got a shot in the AFC East, even though everybody won this week. And that division had a good week between Jared Mayo and Miami and Buffalo. So, yeah, I'm excited to watch it. As you guys know, I'm a Green Bay fan at heart. So, yeah, though the curiosity factor of seeing what it actually looks like with Aaron Rodgers in New York, I'm excited to find out.
Being a Green Bay fan, what I've seen so many stories, and the love factor, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, who knows? And it doesn't sound like they're going to put him on the injured list, so they think maybe he comes back sooner than 4. Do you think they'll be able to get through without him?
It's going to be tough. I mean, the hardest part, other than Jordan Love's injury the other night, was they were down 2 points with 8 minutes left, and they allowed Philadelphia to run 7 minutes off the clock and kick a field goal, and then that led to the whole sequence that Jordan Love ended up getting injured at the end of the game. I think they have to try to survive and steal one out of this group of teams, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Minnesota, and none of those, I think with Jordan Love, they probably win all 3. Without him, you're wondering, okay, can Malik Willis come out and get him one? The way the Vikings played. Tennessee didn't give it to the Bears, and Anthony Richardson had a boomer bust moment yesterday. So I think the Packers will have their work cut out for him without him. But I was just glad that it wasn't like a more serious ending, season-ending type deal.
Looking at some of the other games around the league, it's early and it's week 1, Bill. But when there's only 17 games, week 1 can sometimes be the difference for a team who misses the playoffs by 1 game. And, I'm always kind of surprised that you see some teams who their offense just looks completely out of sorts. And it's like, well, they didn't play together ever in the preseason because the teams are all worried about guys getting injured. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But then I'm like, but some of those teams, like, unless you're like a guaranteed lock to make the playoffs, and there's only a few of those, they can't really afford to lose it, but they do it every year.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the state I live in, Ohio, the Bengals, there was some frustration about another week 1 loss for them in a game where they were 9-point favorites and looked disjointed on offense. Like you said, I always hear a lot of complaining about why don't they play in the preseason? Cleveland Browns did not look good at home against Dallas. Now, good, but with Deshaun Watson, there are questions now, and just the general mess that Cleveland looked like despite a tough defense. And that's what you're saying, I mean, we can say it's just week 1 and don't overreact, but when the margin for error for a 10-7 and 9-8 playoff team is there, you want to get these early games. And those are the two that kind of stood out on the AFC side. On the NFC, I would say maybe not as flagrant. I mean, most of the teams that I thought were going to win ended up winning yesterday.
Bill, what were your thoughts on the 3 rookie quarterbacks that played this week? Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nixon. What did you think of their games? Were you surprised by anything?
Caleb Williams, it's going to take a learning curve, but I think it's more about the promise that he brings. The Bears kind of stole that game with special teams and defense. So I think as Caleb Williams matures and starts to make more plays, they're only going to get better. Bo Nix made a couple ill-advised throws, but again, Denver was competitive into that game into the fourth quarter, and I think he'll continue to learn and grow with Sean Payton. And then Jaden Daniels made some plays with his legs, much like he did at LSU. So I'm excited about all 3 of them, and Drake May will obviously get his turn at some point. But, those 3 teams you mentioned, I believe they finished 1 and 2, and they're more competitive now. And of the 3, I think the Bears, as they settle in around him, and if they get that play from their defense and special teams, they're kind of one of the, as much as I hate to say it, being a Green Bay fan, they're a team that might be in the mix for a playoff berth at the end of the year.
Bill Bender joins us. Bill, it's been a long time, maybe never, that you talk about the Detroit Lions as a force, but they picked up right where they left off last year.
Yeah, the running game's there. Top 5 running game. When in doubt, if Jared Goff wasn't great last night, they were able to lean on Montgomery and Gibbs and their defense, and that was a tight playoff-type game. They obviously played them in the playoffs last year, and it's a mindset. I think Dan Campbell's been able to build that mindset with them where they win those tough games. And they got another one in week 2 because they're going to be in another playoff rematch against Tampa Bay. And, man, Baker Mayfield looked awesome yesterday. So, force is one way to put it, I think, for sure. And they're definitely among those NFC heavyweights that will be in contention for the Super Bowl.
What do you make of the NFC East? Now, I know the Patriots won. Most people expect them to be number 4, but you got the Dolphins, you got the Bills, and then you have the Jets tonight. Is there one team you're more of a believer in?
Man, we're going to find out. We're going to see the Dolphins against that Bills pass rush. Greg Russo, 3 sacks yesterday. And I also want to see the Bills with this no more Stephon Diggs. And Josh Allen working it around with the new receivers. James Cook had a great game yesterday, over 100 total yards of offense, kind of settling in that lead back role, dual threat running back of sorts. And I got the Bills winning that game, but you know what I don't like about it is Thursday night game with those two type playoff teams, because of the short week, it is really a coin flip, and you can't overreact to the result.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I'm just, it's that division's tough. The South, the Colts and the Texans had quite the game yesterday between them, and we saw what the Texans did last year with CJ Stroud, and they, you know what, he's a big play guy. They got some big plays capability on that team. Anthony Richardson, maybe though the play of the week that looked odd because guys were slipping all over the place. It was like they were playing on ice in that turf for a momentary. He slips and then he still connects for Pierce on that 60-yard bomb. What do you make of Richardson when you consider how few games he's actually played dating all the way back to high school?
I know it's so hard to evaluate. He is a big play guy, though, isn't he? Boomer bust in the passing game a little bit. That play you mentioned was one of those examples. Offer something in the running game. So much raw talent there. And like I said, this week against Green Bay, they go to Lambeau where he's up against the defense that sometimes gives up those big plays. So I think the combination of Jonathan Taylor as he grows as a quarterback, it's crazy to think that a top 5 pick with that much talent, we got a small sample in college at Florida, have a small sample in the NFL, and I think he's doing well for himself. So, yeah, I think he'll continue to grow. Almost got Houston. And on the flip side of that, I think Houston, man, Joe Mixon, 100-plus yards rushing behind CJ Stroud. The defense is good. They get the Bears on Sunday Night Football. That'll be a fun game this weekend.
Yeah. Bill, we appreciate your time. Should be interesting for the final game of the week tonight. And then we get into week 2. And you know what? The panic will set in some markets earlier than it should, but it happens all the time in a 17-week season.
We love it. It's a marathon, as you guys know. Thank you so much for having me on.
There you go. That's Bill Bender from the Sporting News. Do you have an NFL team that you cheer for, Brownie?
No, I'm trying to figure out, is it Detroit or is it the Bills? Right. I got lots of family down in Detroit.
Okay.
Toronto's close to Buffalo. Grew up watching a little bit of, Jim Kelly. So there's a little bit of an emotional attachment there.
Well, which one are you leaning to?
I don't know. I still got to let this play out a little bit. Like I said, this weekend was the first time I've ever watched so much football. So I was kind of enjoying all of it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's
did you have chips?
No, I didn't. No, I'm not a chip guy. I'm an ice cream guy.
Oh,
I had neither.
Well, I just saw because like that revolutionary Halloween idea that you had where you handed out chips. I just thought you were going to tell us, hey guys, I don't know. I watched football and I had chips. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but it's a really good thing to try.
No, I had. I didn't have anything. I'm trying to take the snacking out. But
okay.
You know what? To be honest,
get some carrots and cucumbers.
You know what? I did dig up some carrots out of the garden there.
Yeah.
My wife was a little disappointed because she felt like I should have left them in there a little longer, but I was okay with the size of them. But yeah, you know what? They do such a great job of the way they present the game, and for someone like me, that's kind of a fringe fan. It was exciting to actually sit on the couch and watch it, and there were some very entertaining games and fun plays to watch. So I will pick a team. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but right now I really enjoyed all the games that I watched. It was very entertaining.
Well, and then you had the Elks game on Saturday night that, we got a lot of people text in. Hey, Gregor, it's kind of surprising the Elks do well and suddenly people care about them again. Maybe there is more. There is nothing more than winning. Oh, geez, that quote. That will go down in infamy as one of the more head-scratching quotes for sure. I'm sure Len Rhodes would love it back if you could give him that opportunity to say, well, there's more than winning. Not sure. Because winning does solve a lot of problems in the room, in your crowd, everywhere on the field. And, obviously, they're not done because, going 5-1 means nothing if all of a sudden they end the season 1-4 and they kind of, stub their toe down the stretch. Now they're legitimately in the playoff race. They're 1 point behind Saskatchewan. They each have 5 games left. Like, you can't get much closer than that. So, we'll see. Now, Winnipeg, this will be a great back-to-back. I thought the Calgary game was a must-win. And I'll say against Winnipeg, they need a split. Ideally, you'd like to win the first one because you're at home. But they need a split. So if you do happen to lose the one on the 21st on Saturday, then you're going to have to win on the 27th in Winnipeg. It's that simple to me. You got to split against Winnipeg, minimal. And then that Saskatchewan game head-to-head, you got to win that game. Like, that's the obvious must-win game. beating Calgary, who right now is really struggling. That's another game you should win. And then there's the Toronto one. So, Edmonton's schedule is not terrible. Like, they don't have Montreal, but they do have Winnipeg, who's played very well. But so have the Elks. The Elks have played well. So we'll see what they do. But at bare minimum, they've, I think, at least are on the thought process of some football fans and sports fans in the market again. So that's good news. But the organization, I'm excited that they announced Trey Ford as a starter, because if they didn't, that would have been an absolute unmitigated failure. Not even a debate to me. Trey Ford is your future. Doesn't have a contract past this year. You don't play him down the stretch because you want to make the playoffs that bad, even though he has a better winning percentage than Bethel Thompson. And Bethel Thompson's 36. And then you could risk him just saying, no, the organization doesn't trust me. I'm leaving. Like, it's not worth it. You have to think bigger picture, in my eyes, if you're the coaching staff and management of the Elks. And I would like to believe that Trey Ford, if he's healthy, will start the final 5 games.
And it sounds like he deserves it. I mean, he's performed, right? And so that's kind of part of the story that's kind of interesting, is that when's he actually going to get his break, and when there's the belief in him. But you know what? There's nothing better than winning, and there's nothing better when you go, it's not just winning, but when you get an atmosphere where people start to come, that's the other part of it too. There's probably nothing worse watching any sport and Commonwealth or any big arena when there's very few fans. You need that, you need to go into any type of facility and just, see people and 100%. Have that buzz.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. 341, Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you. When we come back, a little bit of a scare today at the Oilers informal skate. We'll talk to Brownie about that situation as a teammate and what goes through your mind. Next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
It seems the price of everything is redonkulous. So at Wolf GMC Buick, we're trying to make it easy on your wallet. We have a huge selection of GMCs with finance rates starting at 0%. Wait, did I just say 0%? I did. And why am I talking to myself? Oh boy. The prices are fantastic, selection top-notch, and the vehicles, well, you already know that they're stellar. Get into Wolf GMC Buick now, just off the Anthony Henday. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the words. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and the time to think about winterizing your RV is before the snow flies. There's a lot of steps you need to take to winterize your trailer or motorhome.
And you have to get every step right every single time. Right, Rick?
That's right, Bob. Because if you make even a little mistake, you might not realize it till spring. By then, it's too late to fix what you got wrong.
Hey, Rick, do you winterize your own trailer?
Not anymore, Bob. I hired people who are smarter than me. Genius technicians who check every component. Dozens of systems to be maintained and protected. And today, we offer that service to you, starting at $99. Every winterization package comes with a full report in writing, so you know what to expect come spring. If you're confident to do it yourself, have at it. If you're like me and you'd rather have this done by somebody who knows what they're doing, then come to Noble, and we'll take care of you.
And that's Noble. NobleRV.ca.
.345. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. And we'll hear from Jeff Skinner, Leon Draisaitl. Also, a little bit of a scare today at Oilers informal skate. I'm Brown, so I'll paint the picture for people. So now, how the informal skates is there's no Oilers coaches allowed on the ice, right? There were some coaches from a local skills team out there, and they're working with them, whatever. They do all these drills, and then now they're having a scrimmage near the end, and it's obviously blue versus white, and away they go. And they're up and down. It's obviously not physical. You're not running guys or anything, and it's just about getting pace. You know how it is. So McDavid's coming through the neutral zone, and he has a puck, and I just happened to look up and I saw, and his skate and Arvidsson's skate collided. And so McDavid goes down. He kind of slides across the blue line, just inside the blue line. He's down. He lost his stick. And it was dead silence on the bench, right? Because there was a little bit of chatter, but McDavid's down and they're just like, you can see for that brief moment. I'm sure you've played when you have a superstar player. And if something ever happened inadvertent, and like you could see Arvidsson, like obviously nothing he did was on purpose, but he skates over and like he slides McDavid his stick on the ice, doesn't get too close to him, just slides it over, right? And then, McDavid finally gets up and he has his hand on his hip, and, you're thinking, oh, geez, hip, because, he had a little bit of a hip issue. Then he skates off and he's sitting on the bench, and later on Arvidsson comes over and, they're talking. He looks fine. McDavid walked off the ice. It was right near the end of the skate. But have you ever been involved in one of those, like whether it's training camp or anything, against whether it was you directly or you see somebody on your team, one of your big players go down, and kind of the feeling of the group?
Yeah, well, first of all, nobody was worried about me, but it's a bad feeling. Obviously, you don't want during a warm-up skate or these types of skates to see anyone get hurt. But it's funny, you are on the ice and you are playing a sport and you could get hurt, but especially for a new guy coming in and wanting to create relationships and fit in, it's a little bit of a bad feeling. But I'm sure they all had a chuckle once they realized that Connor was fine. But you know what? It's playing against or playing with skilled guys like Doug Wade or Bill Guerin. Those guys were especially Doug Wade, right? He had good hands, good skill. And the problem with McDavid and those types of guys is they're tough. They're unpredictable. They stop on a dime. They're very creative. And, guys like me are a little bit clumsy, and with, you get caught up in it sometimes. And they do clip your skates or, your butt or whatever it is. And it was quite often actually that Dougie and I used to get into it in practice. And I felt bad because practices were my games, right? I had to be as sharp as I could in a game to show the coach and everyone that, hey, I'm working on that was an opportunity for me to work on my game as well. And, Dougie's, playing 25 minutes a game and, quite often, would obviously be tired and probably a little bit banged up for the next practice. And, I'm out there, trying to hack and hook, and that's all I could do to keep up with the guy. And so now he's sitting there thinking, oh my God, like so many times he'd be like, Brownie, like, leave me alone. But that was my only tactic of trying to slow him down. Right. And so quite often, we would get into it. And then Billy Guerin would have to come over and he'd get in between us. And we actually, Billy made up a rule. It was kind of funny. He made up a rule being like, he was like, hey, listen, like, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to, compete and show the coach that you're ready and make it to the next day kind of thing. But he's like, Brownie, don't touch the stars. So that was kind of, every so often when I see him now, we kind of still joke about it because, like I said, those guys logged a lot of minutes, and here I am, whacking and hacking and trying to, that's the way I had to play.
So you couldn't
against
touch him, Guerin, and Smith? Or Hemsky, or no?
Well, I didn't really play with Hemsky.
Okay.
Smitty. I mean, there's kind of an unwritten rule.
So was
right?
it just weight?
It was actually more weight, to be
okay.
honest with you, because he was pretty silky with the puck, right? He had just, he had that. If you didn't play physical or you didn't play the body on him, he could make you look pretty silly, right? So I mean, you don't ever, as a teammate, you're not. I wasn't ever looking to put him, in a position where I would hurt him, but. Because of his skill and my lack of skill, that was the only thing that would kind of neutralize it and give me a chance. But it was just kind of funny how at different times, Dougie would just be like, enough. And then we kind of get in a pushing match. And then, like I said, Dougie or Billy would come in there and kind of get in between us. And he'd be like, Brownie, don't touch the stars. And, so yeah, it's,
So did you listen?
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, you gotta, you
kind of, sort of.
Yeah, there has to be.
But you also couldn't just let him go by, because then if he embarrasses you, then you look bad.
Exactly. And McDavid and certain skilled guys have the ability to do that. So, but Dougie, those guys were really good too. I mean, they wanted to get better and they understood it too. And, but yeah, when you have, I've obviously never played against, and there isn't a player quite like Connor McDavid, but I could imagine, how tricky he would be to play against. And, he'd put a lot of guys in a lot of situations where, it's, stuff like that could happen. But it's funny, we were talking about that in football and these players, right? Yeah. It's a sport and anything could happen. You're on blades, you're on ice, and, no one's looking to put anyone in that type of situation.
Yeah. Well, it's a fine line. You got to compete when you're Sean Brown, because you're like, hey man, I really like Doug White and everything, but I want to make the team.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I don't have a guaranteed spot on the team.
No,
so,
I don't. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. So that's it. It definitely, it makes it tough. Right. Yeah. But like I said, most guys, and it's also how you handle yourself too, like in the dressing room and so on. But it's I like to think how I practice is pretty much how I play too. Because there's nothing worse playing with someone that is an absolute killer in practice
and then
invisible and during a game. No one wants to be that guy either, right? So,
well, that would be annoying as heck, I would think, as a teammate for sure.
Yeah.
And so Victor Arvidsson, when their skates collided, and McDavid slides down, and you can kind of see him glance back as he's sliding, right? So
McDavid glanced back?
Yeah. I don't think he was already happy.
Yeah.
So he's down for a bit, and then Arvidsson pushes him a stick, whatever. And, hey, kiss and you make up, and everything, and then. McDavid didn't speak after practice today, so of course, maybe he's hurt. I'm like, wow, I just don't think he wanted to wait around, right?
Yeah.
It's not mandatory, right? Like today's not officially the camp stuff, and so he'll probably talk when he comes back, because I think he's leaving to go to Vegas. I don't think he's skating tomorrow. He's got to go to Vegas for their big summon him and Draisaitl. I think they had some of the Eastern guys today, and then they'll have McDavid and Draisaitl and a few others tomorrow. Yeah. And that's just that's what the league does, right? They have the showcase event, they had the rookie event, and some young guys. Olivier Rodrigue went and represented the Orders. Even though he's not going to play for the team, but still, that's just what they do. And I found it kind of interesting. Like you could just see guys, like for that brief moment, the whole attitude of the skate changed.
Well, you could see, I could imagine TD. Like, I mean,
I don't think he's out there.
TD wasn't?
I don't think he's.
I bet you somebody was around. I imagine that guy doesn't skate. Without too many eyes on them, making sure.
Well, because it's informal. This isn't Orders. I don't think you can legally. I don't think you can. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Now, maybe they were on the bench and I didn't see him, but you could be right. But like no one came on the ice.
Yeah.
Right. Like he was down for, and don't get nervous, Order fans. Like he got up, he was fine. But you could just see it was one for a brief second. You're just like, uh-oh. Because obviously, worst case scenario for anybody would be that you're responsible if McDavid gets nicked up in practice.
Well, especially you could see, I mean, with the start that the Oilers had, right? I mean, he got a little nicked up last year, and Ekholm was a little bit nicked up. Like, it's important that they, everybody gets through training camp. They all have a good training camp, so we have a good start to the season. It is important. But yeah, you know what? I didn't actually see it, but yeah, I mean, no superstar, no guy likes to get in a position where they're being tripped up, falling down, and that is a little bit awkward. But to have that probably couldn't have been a great feeling for someone to look and see the best player in the world kind of looking back, giving you a look. I don't think I would have been sliding his stick back. I think I would have bent down, picked it up, and handed it to him. Maybe dragged him up, helped him up off the ice a little bit.
It's just 'cause that was their first skate together, right?
Oh, was it?
Because McDavid, that was his first time here, right? Arvidsson's been here. He was here last week and stuff. And there's still some guys that will arrive in the next few days.
Yeah.
But most of the players were there. But I understand, like, you can arrive whenever you want. I know they had captain skates last year, but the Oilers just had the shortest offseason ever. Leon Draisaitl, and we'll get to Draisaitl, just some of his comments. Just first of all, here's Draisaitl talking about just coming back in and how, there's kind of one clear focus.
I think lots of guys are here already. Obviously there's some excitement, getting going here. And obviously you do have to pace yourself a little bit. Saw it last year. It didn't work in our favor, but I think we got a great approach, great mindset in here, and we'll make sure we're ready to go.
That's the shortest offseason franchise history, obviously short one for you. That you went through it. How do you feel? Is it noticeably different for going that short, or is there benefits to being short?
I mean, maybe a little bit of both. I'd be lying if I said that I wouldn't like another 3 weeks of working out, maybe. Just to catch up on some things maybe, but at the end of the day, we're all professionals. We all take care of our bodies, we take care of ourselves, and just excited to get going. The itch is coming back a little bit, so just excited to be back and get going with the guys.
You know about Arvidsson, you played against him a lot. There's a pretty good chance you're going to start in your wing. What is it that you respect from a distance, and maybe that you look to kind of get to know firsthand up close?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've played against him lots in the last couple of years, and always thought he was super dangerous. Was always a little extra cautious when he was on the ice, it felt like, and obviously he's really good hockey sense, really, really hardworking guy that knows how to play the game, and I'm really, really excited to get to know him a little bit and create some chemistry with him, and I think we could be a really good pair.
A team that goes deep in the playoffs is expected to go deep in the playoffs. Does that put the regular season in a different perspective for you guys? Not that it doesn't matter, because it does. You got to make the playoffs. You have to get your team in order, but the playoffs and are what it's all about.
I think our focus is on the regular season right now. I think it's much too early to talk about the playoffs right now. We know where we want to end up at the end of the season. I think everybody knows that, but we have to give ourselves a chance to get there first, and that's most important. That's our priority. So, getting off to a good start, or put it that way, a better start than last year would be a good first step.
I was gonna say, because in overcoming what you guys did last year, does that provide you with that sense of calm that if you lose 5 in a row, relax, what happened last year?
Yeah, it can, but we don't want to be in that situation again, right? We want to get off to a better start and give ourselves a bit of a buffer where, maybe at the end of the season we are, leading the division and have home ice on more occasions than not. So, but again, that's down the road. We're focused on training camp and then a good start.
The average age of the team is, it was number one in the league. Maybe you already noticed this last year, the last couple of years with the team aging, but just does it feel different with, okay, we're all a little older, we don't feel it? Is it a different feeling?
Yeah, I think we just mature as a group a little bit. A lot of pieces that have been together for a long time, and we're all growing up. We're all growing up away from the rink too, and it's fun to be a part of it. Created some lifelong friends with a lot of guys that have been here for a while, and probably looking to continue that.
Having said that, you've all come to this point. There's only one thing left here for all of you, right? You can't come any close to winning the cup without winning it than you did last year. With just one sort of common goal left, how do you how do you focus a group through the first 82 games in 3 rounds before the goal shows up?
Well, I think first of all, you have to create an identity, right? We're not the same team as last year. There's a lot of the same pieces, but every team creates its own identity, its own look, and its own way of approaching and playing the game. So, like I said, there's a lot of the same pieces, and we definitely want to be a similar style of hockey team, but we're going to be our own team, and we're not going to have anything to do with the team last year, but obviously we're going to try and be even better.
Do you know exactly what those nuances are, or do you have to start the season and have them kind of get revealed to you?
I think that's what the season shows. I think the adversity that we're going to face in season, that's going to teach us some lessons, and you just try to build week for week over the span of 82 games, and eventually you teach your brain and you teach your team how to take care of it in the playoffs.
So interesting from Leon Draisaitl. You know what? It's the same team for a lot of pieces, but obviously it's different. Like, look at their back end. Right? There's 2 spots on defense that are wide open from last year. You've got Fogle gone. You've got McLeod gone. You've got Holloway gone. It's 3 of your 12 forwards. So there's definitely some changes, no question. Right? That's 5 guys from your playoffs that are gone. So that's significant. And I don't say 6 because Broberg and Desharnais weren't both in the lineup at the same time. But you could argue 6 players, but 5 roster spots really. So yeah, it's some significant change, and we'll see how they play out. Obviously, there's some concern about the right defense. I think that's valid. It's one that they hope that they can rectify during the season. But if it goes off the rails early, that'll be a challenge. So we'll see where they go from here. Let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. And they're teaming up with Sports Central in the month of September. Every Saturday from 10 a.m. until 3, you can donate your bike at Sports Central. Go on to sportscentral.org. And with the help from Fountain Tire, they've already collected 230 bikes. So they're pretty much right on track to get you need about 230 every Saturday. So if you have a bike and you want to donate it, plan ahead, go to sportscentral.org, courtesy of Fountain Tire.
The Sports 1440 update.
Week 1 of the NFL season will wrap up tonight in San Francisco as the Niners hosting Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Kickoff set for 6:15. Good news for Bills fans. Quarterback Josh Allen being cleared to participate in today's walkthrough as the team gets ready for their matchup on Thursday with the Miami Dolphins. It was the non-throwing hand that Allen had hurt in the team's 34-28 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. The LA Rams announced that Puka Nacua will miss at least the next 4 games after landing on the IR with a knee injury. No surgery for the second-year wideout, just rest and rehab. And breaking news is the Kansas City Chiefs former receiver Kadarius Toney signing with the Cleveland Browns, according to reports. Looks like he'll start on the practice roster to get up to speed with the team. Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays kicking off a 3-game series hosting the New York Mets. That gets going just after 5 o'clock tonight. You also got the Marlins in Pittsburgh. Phillies host the Rays. Orioles take on the Red Sox. Twins up against the Angels. Guardians in Chicago to battle the White Sox. And the Dodgers will host the Cubs. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and be joined by the voice of the Bakersfield Condors, Ryan Holt. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
In 100 meters, turn right. Actually, no. Turn left. There's some awesome new breakfast wraps at McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. There's the sausage, bacon, and egg, a crispy seasoned chicken one. A spicy and egg, worth the detour.
They sound amazing.
Bet they taste amazing, too. Wish I had a mouth. Take your morning into a delicious new direction with McDonald's new breakfast wraps. Add a small premium roast coffee for $1 plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more. Elevate your home's curb appeal effortlessly with House Numbers Canada, locally owned and operated right here in Edmonton. Their state-of-the-art modern house numbers and address signs are the perfect solution for a quick and stylish upgrade. Multiple size and color options, stock items, custom designs, and the always popular LED illuminated numbers. Quality guaranteed or your money back. So what are you waiting for? Give your home the modern upgrade it deserves. Explore House Numbers Canada's exclusive collection at housenumberscanada.ca.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference. Volvo of Edmonton.
Before every big interview, every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks old, and I'm starting to think it's game over.
Stop thinking and start seeing me, Dr. Vance Elliott, for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
At Fountain Tire, we love jingles. Get up to 25% off select tires.
Until October 19th.
Plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150.
Restrictions apply.
Book online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
What's better than Tim's Rewards points? 2 times the Tim's Rewards points. Use Scan and Pay on the Tim's app from now until September 30th to earn 2 times the points. Pay, earn, and redeem all with one scan. Only on the Tim's app. Canada only, limited time only. Terms apply. See app for details.
To dream 1,000 dreams. They only by a million screams. I can hear the marching feet moving into the street. Did you read the news today? They say the danger's down our way, but I can see the fire still light.
.407, Jason Gregor, John Brown, Connor Halley, and Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Gregor, you got to be stressed out. Is McDavid fine? Yeah, that's why we said it was just a slight scare for a brief moment. He got up, skated off the ice by himself, was walking off later. Now, he didn't, he was supposed to talk to media, or they were hoping he would, but then didn't happen. Probably didn't want to stand around because Leon Draisaitl got off just before him. So probably veteran move by Draisaitl. It'll get off just in first, so then I don't have to wait. I can go first. So there you go. But it was me. It was more so it reiterates just how important McDavid is and how everybody knows how important he is. And it was just like that eerie quiet. Ooh, geez. Uh-oh. Like, and you could just see Arvidsson. And like, that'd probably be the worst feeling. Like, no doubt in my mind, he probably wasn't loving things at that point.
But you know, one thing though is when it was over in the dressing room, I'm sure they were laughing and joking.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, you have to, right? Yeah. Like if you, hey Arvie, you don't play for the Kings anymore, right? Like I'm sure there'd be exactly. Chirps like that for sure, right? Yeah. Like you have to. You got a little bit of humor, brush it off. It makes perfect sense. We'll get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton.com, where you can stop in right now and save up to $8,000 on all remaining in stock 24 XC90s. I've driven one for 3 years. Absolutely love it. It's great on gas, but it's got the third row if you need it. You fold it down if you got multiple kids in sports. You got a big hatchback, and it's got all the bells and whistles for safety. So check it out at volvocarsedmonton.com. The orders, the rookie camp and the rookie tournament, I should say, gets going later this week. They'll be heading off to Penticton, and they'll have the rookie medicals now. I still haven't got 100% confirmation. Matt Savoy, he has Brownie. He's 20 years of age. He's a new organization. He's only played one NHL game, I think it was. So, he's not a proven NHL player, but he's 20. Would you put him in the Penticton tournament if you're the orders? Or is he, I don't think he's too old by any stretch of imagination. Right? He hasn't even played a year of pro. To me, it should be a no-brainer he goes there.
Yeah, that's a good question. He's definitely a highly touted prospect.
Yeah, he's got
somebody that has
McDavid played in it. Draisaitl played in it.
I think that it's probably only good for his development to be in those situations, to play with that type of competition with kids his age. So I don't see any harm with him, playing in that. I think still that doesn't take away from the fact that he still has probably a really good chance and an opportunity to crack this lineup.
Yeah. So he was the one that would go. Rafael Lavoie, no. You already know guys who've been pros for that long. No. The Oilers don't have a boatload of young prospects, so I would expect they will have some guys that they're going to announce here in the next day or two that have signed that are coming into the rookie tournament, which is normal, happens every year. It's a great opportunity for some kid because you know what, there's always someone watching, and every time it's an opportunity to showcase yourself and kind of see where you're at. The Oilers themselves, the veterans, they'll continue their informal skates this week. And then next week on Wednesday will be the medicals, all the testing you go through. The players are all in good shape, but that's probably, I would think Wednesday, Thursday at the latest is when you're going to find out what the status of Vander Kane is. I know Stan Bowman, we probably should find that out even earlier this week. To me, it's inevitable that he's not going to be ready to start the season. And, I said that back in June. I kind of thought that's what was going to happen. So don't expect him here. The Oilers would ideally like their cap situation to be so they're not putting him on LTIR. He's just on IR to start the year so they can accrue cap space. And that theory works great until maybe there's another injury. Then you're forced to do it just because. So we'll see. And then the Oilers will have their practices next Thursday, Friday, Saturday for training camp. And then they will kick off the preseason on Sunday, September 22nd against the Winnipeg Jets. On the 23rd, they have a game in Edmonton at the same time. That's like a split squad game. One is in Calgary. Then they play Wednesday and Friday again for the Oilers. So they'll have 5 preseason games done in the first 6 days of preseason. And they got a little bit of a break. And then they wrap up. Usually, like for the last few years, McDavid, they haven't played a ton of road games in the preseason, but their final 2 games are both on the road. So I would guess he'll get into one of those. I don't know if you need him to play both. Usually the home crowd gets to see the best players. Normally McDavid's and the Draisaitl. So I would think that, 2 of their 3 preseason games, or if they're going to stretch it to 4. What did you make of McDavid? And Leon Draisaitl even said, they came in their captain skates last year. And, I don't know if that was why they started 2-9-1. I'm not sure I can automatically pinpoint that together. They weren't going to do it this year. Because their season was so long. Draisaitl just heard him before the break. He said, hey, I'd be lying if I said I didn't wish I had 3 more weeks of training in the gym. Yeah. Right. But that's how it is. Teams that go, Tampa Bay went to Stanley Cup the final 3 years in a row. So it's not an excuse. Florida just did it 2 years in a row. So I don't believe it's a reason that suddenly the Oilers shouldn't be good because they had a shorter offseason. They're a good team and you gotta deal through adversity. But I look at their first 10 games, Brownie, and they've talked about the importance of you can't, obviously that a slow start can't lose you the Stanley Cup unless it extends too long, but it does make it more difficult. As great as the Oilers played under Chris Knobloch, they still didn't get home ice advantage past the first round. They haven't had home ice advantage in the second round of the playoffs since 1990, the last year they won the Cup. Last time they had third round, obviously same as 1990. The last time they had it for a Cup final was 1988. So I look at the importance of the regular season, and I know you can't win the Cup there, but you can give yourself a better chance by having home ice advantage longer.
Yeah, I think that, when you listen to Draisaitl, I think the importance of just last year was last year, and this is a new year and new expectations and nothing. I mean, with the competition and the way the league is set up, it's going to be tough. And I think that, no one knows exactly why they had the start that they had last year, but it's important that the guys are on the ice, the guys are coming back, and they don't have to. You don't want to have the start that they had last year. Not that you have to be perfect either, but you want to make sure coming in, you want to feel good about yourself. You want to feel good about your team. Coach wants to feel good about his structure, his system, and what he's seeing. So, yeah, it's going to be important that they have a good start for a lot of different reasons. Just because they're going to have a lot of eyes, or there's a ton of expectations. And what these players coming in, it's it's tough because they're in the summer mode, and they need to decompress and get away from it, because it was such a long season and it's a grind, and it takes you it takes you a good 2 weeks to kind of get away mentally and just get your routine and get out of that routine and that mindset. And it also takes some time coming back the other way. Right. It's just listening to you talk about training camp and just kind of reminds me of the training camps that I was in. Like, it's getting yourself in that mindset. It makes me a little queasy because, it's that professionalism of having to be good and perform and put your best foot forward day after day, and getting in that grind, that mindset of what it takes to play at that level. It's kind of, it's going to be kind of interesting for me, being in this position here where I'm going to be following it a lot more and having more comments. It's going to be fun to kind of watch the different players go through the process and how they go through it, and watching these guys with, there are some opportunities, and see who steps up and takes advantage of it. And, you said that, and we all know they need a right-handed defenseman, but, there's still, I think, opportunity for these guys to kind of show what they got, and that will probably, they're all going to be under a microscope to, how quickly do they have to bring in a right defenseman? Did we give them a little bit of time?
Well, you have to, because it's rare for trades to happen in October, November. Not impossible, just saying that it's rare. So if I look at that, I would say Troy Stetcher, Emberson, Brown. That's a guy. Now they might bring in a guy on a PTO. I think that's very likely here in the next week.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're like, hey, those are the guys we went with, and we're going to give them an opportunity. Let's see what we got. There's pressure, but there's also opportunity. And it depends on the mindset of the player, how you look at it. Like if I'm Troy Stetcher, or if I'm Emerson, I'm like, I look at the depth chart. It is wide open on the second and third pair defense.
Yeah.
It's you're Brown, you're Emberson, you're Stetcher. You believe in yourself to say, I can win that number 2 right defense spot.
You're excited.
Oh,
God,
God,
and I'm excited for them because whether it's those guys or Connor McDavid, like all these guys are going through, you're never not trying to advance your game and make it better, and McDavid and Nathan McKinnon and Crosby, all those guys are trying to add different dimensions to the game. And so are the role players or anyone else, right? You go in the summer with a plan of like, hey, you know what, here's some areas of my game that I want to try and be better in. And then knowing that you have that opportunity, I'm sure a lot of these guys are coming into camp very excited and, having an opportunity to establish themselves as an NHL defenseman. And, what they did last year and the previous years, it means something, but they also have an opportunity to grow their game. And any athlete just wants that opportunity, right? That opportunity just each and every year, you always want to try and evolve your game and find different ways to add more value and lengthen your career.
418, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sean Brown, through on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Let's get to the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges, legacyheating.ca. Here's Cam Tate, longtime journalist, and through the wonders of technology now, he's in a wheelchair, has cerebral palsy, but with the wonders of technology, his words come to life on our show every Monday and Friday. Here's the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate.
Hey, Gregor, this one is for you. You're a farm boy, right? many years ago, my cousin Glenn let me drive in one of his pastures in Saskatchewan, no pavement. Right now, I don't drive. Cerebral palsy, you know? There you go. So I floored Glenn's green Mustang, floored it. Glenn's undercarriage was never the same. And for some reason, Glenn insisted, he drive his car back from where I stalled that Mustang to the gate leading to the gravel road back to the homestead. It would wonder why. When the time is right, I tell folks of my new business adventure, but only, of course, when the time is right. Saturday night. Like, well, that was one of those times to pull that business plan out of my shirt pocket, LXA, versus the Calgary's a second quarter, new Elks owner Larry Thompson and his wife, Deb. Did you see it, Gregor? How about you, Connor Halley? See that? The Thompsons were throwing little yellow footballs into the crowd, and it was a good crowd. Know what I'm saying here in this big broadcast bonanza. And congratulations to Edmonton for the great crowd at the Elks game. Way to go. Edmonton, atta baby. But back to the Thompsons and their fire truck tour, because it was a tour and it was caught on video. Nice. Did you see it there, Elks fans? That little white circle in the left corner of the video, there they were right behind the Calgary Stampeder bench. Yes, dear listener, the Thompson tour somehow got right behind the Stampeder bench. What if the Thompson tour accidentally, but kind of on purpose, ended up on the field? And more importantly, would the Calgarys be flagged for a too many men and women penalty, even though the infraction? I love that word. Came from the Elks. There you go. Now, to let the cat out of the bag. Or the elk out of the bush, Larry Thompson and his wife, Deb, are the most recent customers and graduates of my new business. I'm about to tell you the name. Ready? But listen to the slogan, the Cam Tate School of Driving, your undercarriage will never, ever be the same. Please consider adding your John Henry to your organ donor card. 2-minute warning. Jason Gregor Show, Monday. Friday, Sports 1440.
That was rather comical. I don't know if you saw that on the broadcast.
That was hilarious. What were the players thinking?
Well, the Stampeder players like, what is going on here? Because usually now at the old before they extended the end zone, they got the new turf. The fire truck used to drive all the way around. Remember, they had the big one and people loved it. Then they had to change it, so they got to the smaller one. And obviously, Larry's like, hey, I'm the owner. Guess what? I'm driving where I want. So he starts on the Elks side, comes around through the end zone on the north side of the field, then he comes back up. And I was watching it. And I remember my son's like, Dad, the fire truck normally doesn't come on this side of the field. And I'm like, no, what? And I look, and we just see him come, and you can see the Stampeder bench, like the people on the truck, like it didn't look like he didn't slow down. I'll say that. Like, I don't know if there's brakes on that. There must be. But he just was like, hey, this is our stadium. Get out of the way. It was so funny.
That was too much.
Oh, God. So, hey, you know what? The Thompsons are like, hey, you know what? We're going to get the fans engaged. It's a small little thing, but you just don't see them driving right through the bench.
So did he bring that back? Did he bring that tradition back with the fire truck?
No. The little fire truck's been there before.
Okay,
but now it only stays normally on the one side. It doesn't go around to both sides usually.
Yeah.
Right. Just because of that reason.
Yeah.
So, but obviously in this one, he decided, hey, guess what? We're going on through right through the bench. Absolute classic. 4:22 coming up. Ryan Holt will join us. We're going to talk a little Condors for the Oilers Farm Team spec. We got Kevin Woodley. Lots of goaltending conversation as we get set for training. There's a few teams that got some concerns, and then there's a few teams that have some new goalies. We'll get to all that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 116. In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Imagine hitting 13 out of 14 fairways from the tee. It can happen. It does happen with a driver created for you by Fitted Golf. We are the only company in Edmonton who fits for all 9 features of each golf club. Amateurs learn to play like amateurs from amateurs. Come work with our professional team of scientists, engineers, and club builders and get fitted with the clubs designed for one golfer. You visit fittedgolf.ca today. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
It's the final week of the Brick's famous tent sale, and everything must go. Take up to 70% off clearance items in the tent and store, and find amazing deals in every other department before it's too late. Take up to $1,400 off sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom dining furniture, and up to 50% off mattresses. Hurry in while the tents are still up and the prices are down. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Hi, Larry Ricci from Vision RV. I hope you're able to get out and travel this summer. Wherever the highway took you, we'd love to hear about it. In fact, why not bring in your RV for winterizing and show us those holiday selfies? We offer some very affordable and thorough winterizing packages to ensure your investment is protected. Or maybe you're thinking of upgrading for next season. We have the selection you're after, and you'll receive top dollar for your trade. Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ow. All right. Na, 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 na.
And yes, the Oilers just announced their rookie roster. Just came out here about 10 minutes ago for the tournament in Penticton. Of course, Matt Savoy will be headlining it. Sam O'Reilly, the recent number 1 overall pick. You got lots of other young guys that will be going. Jaden Gruby, who of course was down in the minors. Petrov. You got Stonehouse, James Steffen on the back end. Bo Akey. Probably the biggest name, Max Warner, probably actually him. Marc Lajoie, Davidson, a few other guys from the Edmonton area. Boshu, Day, and Unger will be the goalies for Edmonton coming up in the rookie camp. The tournament in Penticton, which I know every year there's always a few Oilers fans who head down for that. So enjoy it. Should be a lot of fun as we talk a little Oilers, and lots of these guys will be in Bakersfield, and we are joined by the voice of the Bakersfield Condors, Ryan Holt, joins us. Holter, how you doing, man? It is scorching hot where you are right now, isn't it?
It is. I think it's the last week of heat down here, so at least we hope. So yeah, we're excited for the rookie camp to get going, and yeah, it's kind of the unofficial start of the season for us.
So you look at that team. How many guys do the Condors have signed on? So they're part of the organization, but they're not on two-way deals, right? Can you update me on that one? Who do they have signed?
Yeah, that's great. I should probably look at the entire roster. We have Unger and Boshu on the back end and in between the pipes. So,
okay.
Guys who have been signed here over the last little bit. Obviously, some guys that were in Bakersfield last year. You mentioned Jaden Grube and Max Warner, and guys who probably figured to be in Bakersfield at some point, but. And then up front, Carl Berglund spent parts of the last 2 years here in Bakersfield and figures to probably be here again. Ethan DeYoung's a guy who is under contract as well. Petrov was here last year. I'm expecting him to have a big year. Steffen, obviously, terrific numbers out of Portland and in the WHL, and excited about what he can bring. And So a couple of those guys are under contract. We got to look at Lavoie there at the end of the year. I think he's going to the University of Alberta, if I'm not mistaken. But again, gets a look and maybe signs a pro deal. I'm not entirely sure, but a guy who, played a couple of games at the end of the season this past year. So other than that, I'm not seeing anybody else under contract. Obviously some guys that are under contract with the Oilers are drafted by the Oilers, but aren't eligible to obviously come to Bakersfield. Yeah. O'Reilly being one of them. Boakey isn't eligible, I don't think, as well. No. I think Stonehouse is coming off an injury, but I think he's eligible. I might be talking out of turn there, but I think he's eligible if it ends up happening. So we'll see what happens. And, this is the fun part, right? Like, this is the kind of moving of the deck chairs and figuring out who's coming to Bakersfield. But at least that's the 30,000 foot view, I guess, of the Penticton roster.
Yeah, Brady Stonehouse just turned 20 in August, so he's eligible. No, I was more so, and I didn't word my question. Maybe it's clear enough. Like, I know Seth Griffith has signed, a 2-year American League deal with the Condors. Is there anybody else in Baco that's on an AHL only deal? Like,
there hasn't been much. Okay. A lot of the guys have been two ways with the Oilers. So guys like Connor Carrick or like a Cam Deneen who was re-signed. Blaine Gleason was signed a 2-year deal last year. We were pretty full, I guess, if you will. From the last, 2 years ago was kind of our big signings in terms of being able to bring in guys. And now with those guys in the second year of their deals, some guys obviously are going to push for jobs in Edmonton, but Griffith basically, replaces the Brad Malone slot, I guess, if you will, if you're slotting guys in terms of veterans and things like that in terms of AHL contracts. So, he kind of slides right in there and just kind of comes off an NHL deal and goes to an AHL deal. And then obviously, some guys that have been, traded for over the summer that figure to be in Edmonton or figure to be in Bakersfield, like a Yaraventi who, should have a big impact for this team moving forward.
Ryan Holt joins us from the Bakersfield Condors. And Ryan, obviously, it's always difficult to the AHL because you don't really know. But the Oilers have a pretty established roster, right? And I think for the most part, their 7D are the 7D we expect. So Max Warner, who had a really good rookie season last year, who do you think, who would he be paired with? Is it automatically, is it Gleason that he pairs with? Where do you kind of see, if you look on paper right now for that D core, and we assume that Stetcher and Brown and Emberson will be here. So kind of where do you look at? They got a lot of experience on the back end, but where do you see Warner playing?
Yeah, he was with Cam Deneen for the majority of last year, and I thought they were excellent. One thing about Cam that, we knew he was, elite offensively, could run a power play, that type of defenseman. But one thing that Colin Chalk always mentions about Cam when, he got into a Bakersfield jersey and they actually got their hands on him and were able to see him on a day-to-day basis, not only his maturity level, but also, how good of a defender he was, in his own end. And I think Cam, being that, pseudo veteran presence, even though Cam is still on the younger side too, being that pseudo presence, a guy who's played in the NHL, in Arizona and, able to pair with, a rookie fresh out of junior like Max Warner, who just has a bunch of raw skill, and I think he's extremely moldable and coachable and teachable. And Keith McCambridge does such a great job with the D-core. And, by the end of the season, Warner was, an effective penalty killer for a very good penalty killing team, a shutdown defenseman. Were there mistakes? Absolutely. But you're able to, learn that in the American Hockey League, not have the bright lights on you, and, have the opportunity to grow and develop as a defenseman. I think, it did wonders for Philip Broberg during his time here in Bakersfield. And, I'm not putting Warner in that category, but a guy who, let's face it, if he develops and does the right things and, continues, his arrows pointing upwards, he's going to give himself a shot here down the stretch at some point in his career. For a guy like Vinny Desharnais, it took a couple of years. Whether it takes a couple of years for Warner remains to be seen, but he's doing the right things after year one.
Ryan, what are your thoughts? I seen a tweet there that Carter Savoie, if he doesn't get an NHL contract with another organization, that he might sign with Bakersfield. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I think he hopped over to Finland. I could be wrong on that. I think he hopped over to Finland in the last. It was recently. It wasn't too long ago. But I think he hopped over to Finland. I think a situation again. Carter had injuries last couple of years. Wish him well and hope that he's able to to continue his game and come back over at some point. I think. But I think he hopped over to Finland.
You saw Järventie not very often, but probably a few times. There's going to be some changes this year in Bakersfield. Like Rafael Lavoie, I know really wants to make the team up here, and Järventie's there, so that even if he's there, he's still a new face from last year. So your fans will see definitely a significant change up front, including most likely probably Matthew Savoie getting a chance to be probably the number one center down in Baco.
Yeah, no, that's exciting from our standpoint. You hate to. At this time of the year, you hate to, kind of dream and think about things and put things on pencil and paper, but you certainly do, right? And, Savoie's an elite offensive talent, elite player who, should, do well in his pro career. He's going to be an NHLer. So, where does that first stop kind of land him? And if it is in Bakersfield, that's fantastic. And, Järventie, you look at him and, I know he'll be compared with Bourgault just because they were kind of swapped for each other. I know that the draft year is different, right? Bourgault's 1 year behind him, but they're only 6 months apart, I think, or 4 months apart in terms of actual age. So, I think it's a fresh start for him. And, he's a gifted forward, for Belleville. He had some injury trouble and was kind of in and out after that. But, a guy who, if he stays healthy, should be a guy who takes another step for us, this year. I'm looking for him and guys like Matvei Petrov, Jaden Grube had a terrific rookie season. Stefan comes in with a lot of hype, kind of as a free agent signing out of Portland. So, I think it's a different mix for sure. And I think it's exciting because there isn't, as you mentioned, the kind of prospect pool because of draft picks. This year is kind of a trial for a lot of guys and an opportunity for them to earn a spot here in Bakersfield and try and impress. And, for a guy like Lavoie, as you mentioned, make the Oilers and never see Bakersfield again. So it's exciting for a lot of guys. A lot of guys are in a different, kind of stage of their career, but, it's an opportunity that, you're going to get plenty of chances down here in Bakersfield this year, especially up front with, a lot of new faces.
Ryan Holt joins us. Ryan, not a new face, but a returning face who probably starts down there. Noah Philp took last year off. Now he comes back. He had a really good rookie year in the American League 2 seasons ago. What's your expectations of Philp? Like, I don't know if it's realistic after being off for a year, but he's not that old. He wasn't injured. That he could maybe push Derek Ryan. I think Lane Peterson might push or battle with Derek Ryan for that fourth line center spot. I know that's not necessarily like traditionally how he plays. He's more of an offensive guy in Bakersfield. But A, did Lane Peterson do any penalty killing in Baco last year? And B, well, what's your thoughts on Philp coming back to the organization?
Yes, Peterson did kill penalties off and on, depending on, what the lineup looked like. And again, he was a guy who, he battled injury early on last year, or else I think, Lane Peterson was probably a guy who might have made Edmonton early on last year and then, maybe never came back, to the Condors. And that's just the reality situation. He was hurt and it was an opportunity. I think James Hamlin, seized a little bit of an opportunity as well last year. I'm excited for Noah to come back, and I had a chance to catch up with him in Calgary when we were up there in March, and he was kind of toying with the idea and really kind of reached out to Keith Gretzky and Colin Chalk and said, hey, I've got my stuff in order and everything looks good, and I'm ready to come back and I'm ready to get going, and excited for him. Another dynamic, smart centerman. I really think down the middle of the ice is going to be a real strength for us when you look at Savoie, Peterson, you can throw Jaden Grube right in there. You get Philp. I mean, it's really strong down the middle of the ice here, depending on who's here and on any given night. But there's definitely depth for this team down the middle. And I think just for Noah, he's just a great kid and a really smart individual and a really smart hockey player who, maybe punched above his weight, his rookie year, which was terrific. A little bit on the older side, in terms of a prospect, but we've seen those type of guys being able to be plug and play at the next level as well too. So excited for him just to get back in the swing of things, get back in the rhythm, and obviously compete for a spot in Edmonton. If he ends up in Bakersfield, really become an elite, centerman, down the middle of the ice, kill penalties, and be a really responsible shutdown type of guy.
Ryan, you mentioned Colin Chalk and the coaching staff down there. I mean, they're just as competitive as any player, and I'm sure they want to try and advance their careers and get to higher levels. What have you liked about the balance of trying to play, prospects and trying to put a, competitive team to win? What have you liked and seen about, the coaching staff and the balance that they've had to this point?
Yeah, I think they've done both, right? You look at an Oilers team who goes to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, and 12 out of the 20, we're in Bakersfield at some point. Obviously, some of that was before, Colin and this coaching staff got here. But you look at the guys who really matured, under Colin Chalk, under Keith McCambridge. They bring in Adam Krug out of the Division III ranks, but a guy who, obviously has the pedigree from his brother, from his playing days and his coaching career. But I think, Colin, first and foremost, nobody outworks him. I try to get to the rink as early as possible, and it always seems to have his light on in his office before I get here. So, just a tireless work type of guy. I think the coaching staff is a real nice mix. Keith McCambridge does such a great job with defensemen. You look at, Desharnais the last little bit, Broberg especially this past year. Guys who have, really grown under him. Phil Kemp's another name that, has really taken a step with, he's a meat and potatoes type of guy, but, a guy who, has really taken a step with Keith McCambridge as well. And, we had one of the best power plays in the league. That was all Colin last year as well. And, he'll have some more offensive weapons, I think, to work with this year than even last year. And, I think, you want to win, you want to develop, you want to do both. And I think there's been a good balance of both here over the last, even going back to, the Jay Woodcroft era in 2018, of being able to move guys on, have great success stories like a James Hamlin, but also, find, ice time and find opportunities for the guys who certainly need it at the next level. And whether that's in Edmonton or, as we've seen with Holloway and Broberg in another organization, that's just as valuable. And you can even go to Michael Kesselring too, a couple of years ago. I mean, these are guys that are valuable pieces for an Oilers run, whether they're in Edmonton or being used for opportunities for others to come into the organization.
Ryan, great stuff, man. We look forward to it. It should be an interesting season for the Condors, and there'll be some players down that Oilers fans will be paying very close attention to. We'll talk to you throughout the year. Have a great one.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
There you go. That's Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors. Matt Savoy, I fully expect him to be the number one center down there to start, but don't sleep on Lane Peterson pushing Derek Ryan in camp and preseason, potentially for that fourth line center spot. That's a battle to watch for. On defense, like if you look at the Oilers on their rookie roster that's going to Penticton, the only two defensemen that are draft picks are Boakey and Max Wayner. Boakey's too young to play in the American League, so they don't have a lot of young defensemen down there. They're in a little bit of a transition period with some AHL veteran guys. And then up front, of course, I look at guys, Brady Stonehouse will turn pro this year. James Stefan was a free agent signing. Matt Savoy. Matvey Petrov maybe can take a step. Jaden Gruby, another young guy who they're hoping can do stuff. So there's not a lot, to be honest, of high-end prospects, but Matt Savoy definitely. I would probably put him and Warner as a 1-2 for the Oilers right now in the American League. Come back. We have 5 questions. Spec will be by Kevin Woodley, and we're having a little goalie team ranking preview coming up at 5:20 on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
All began in 2006.
Edmonton's premier live music and party venue was born.
Well, guess what? We're now legal age.
On the Rocks is turning 18.
Party with us September 20th.
As we celebrate our 18th birthday.
Happy birthday!
Draisaitl Station.
Live music from the Arcana King.
And a chance to win $500 cash.
Thank you for an amazing 18 years.
On the Rocks.
OTR's 18th birthday, September 20th.
On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car. And that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
Sipping gin and juice, just trying to stay cool. And I'm sweating buckets bigger than a swimming pool. Cruise to Heritage Mall to enjoy some AC. Then my shorty hears the homies from Legacy. I say, listen, yo, where we gonna get the dough to pay Legacy from the radio? He says Legacy Heating's got a deal that's the bomb with no interest or payments all year long. No money, no problems. That's the life that I choose. Chillaxing with thousands of BTU. Doing whatever the heck that was. That's how you build a legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Never met a girl who makes me feel the way that you do. You're alright. Whenever I'm asked who makes my dreams real, I say you. You're outside. So be fine. Oh, look out, baby, 'cause here I come.
.446. It's all right, baby. It is Monday afternoon. Of course, the NFL Monday Nighter has the 49ers and the New York Jets. Then, of course, bye week for the surging Edmonton Elks, winners of 5 of their last 6. They sweep the Battle of Alberta Labor Day in Calgary and then get a big win. 5 interceptions on Saturday after 4 on Monday. Trey Ford's announced he will start on Saturday, the 21st, against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 5 o'clock start. Should be a heck of a matchup as the Elks, 1 point behind Saskatchewan. They each have 5 games remaining. It is going to be a great stretch run in the playoff race. The Elks, that's a bad start can sink you, but only if the other teams don't. I know people are like, hey, Gregor, the CFL is a joke. You can have a bad start and still go to the playoffs. Okay, now, sure. If that's your reasoning, okay. So then is the NHL a joke because St. Louis Blues were the worst team in the NHL in early January of the 2018-2019 season and then got red hot and won the Cup? Is that a joke of a league? We can find examples of that for lots of different teams. It happens. Like Edmonton had a bad start, but if you actually look, they weren't getting crushed in games. They just couldn't win. The field goal kicker would miss a game here or there. And since then, other teams have faltered. Now they're not in the playoffs yet. They're just they've climbed back into the race a little bit, but it's happened in the NHL. The Oilers were 2-9-1.
The Oilers are doing the old rope-a-dope.
Yeah,
they do the same thing.
They were 2-9-1. So I don't know. I never. Some people want to just jump on a league. There's lots of leagues that have. Is it easier in a 9-team league to come back? Well, yeah, in theory it should be, but I would also argue sometimes it's harder because all those other teams, if they just would have played 500 the rest of the way, you weren't catching them. So I don't know. The tough start, they bound, but they're not in the playoffs yet. They've just got themselves back into the race, which is nice. You also have the Elks, because Saskatchewan has, I think they're winless in their last 7. They have a tie, but they have 6 losses. So they just picked a different time of the year to soil the sheets, whereas the Elks soiled them at the start of the season. Right? That's all that happened. So we'll see where it goes. Let's get to the con man now. And 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. We're saving you more. Get in on the tent sale if you're looking for some great deals at The Brick and thebrick.com. Up to 60% off select items this week at The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, as we've talked about a little bit here on the show, the Oilers starting to hit the ice once again. When it comes to the newer players or younger players, let's say, heck, I'll open it up to every player. Which are you going to be watching the closest as we roll in towards the preseason?
There's lots for me. I mean, we talked about some of these defensemen coming in here and getting an opportunity, whether it's Stetcher, Emberson, or Brown. Looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table. And obviously, you know, the hometown boy, Matthew Savoie, he's got a ton of skill. I'm going to have to say I beat his dad and him in provincials in minor hockey. That was a long time ago. But no, I've always kind of watched his career just because, you know, my son's played against him every other year and he's been a phenomenal player. And so he's a prospect that it'll be interesting to see. I was actually surprised Buffalo gave up on him so early. And I think that he's the potential to surprise a lot of people.
For me, it is Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner's never made the playoffs. Jeff Skinner has been a pretty consistent goal scorer, especially 5-on-5. And who does he fit better with, McDavid or Draisaitl? I think they're going to put him with McDavid. McDavid's never really had a shooter outside of Leon, and that's mainly on the power play, a little bit 5-on-5. So Jeff Skinner's the guy for me.
Question number 2. The PWHL announced their team names and logos today. Of the 6, do you have a favorite and why?
Well, it's pretty obvious, the Boston Fleet. It's the Hartford Whalers.
I seen your tweet
just
there.
at 90 degrees,
Right,
baby.
yeah.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
It's killer. It's very smart. I like it. Like they changed it just slightly because the whale didn't have the direct line on it. But man, that's really close. So I would have the Fleet number 1 and the Frost number 2 from Minnesota.
I agree with you with the Boston Fleet. I don't know, the Frost. I've seen that somewhere.
Well, to me, it looks like it's the Flash.
Yeah,
Just different colors.
A lot of the logos, I think they dropped the ball on a lot of them, to be honest with you.
Really?
I didn't like a lot of them. I got the Ottawa Charge.
Okay.
Good pick.
Like the Flames?
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's a little.
Yeah, the interesting one to me was the New York Sirens. Like the name is very fitting for New York, but like the logo is, but yeah, it's a siren. Like how do you make a good logo of that? And the Scepters is classic. I'll be honest. Like it's, the Montreal Victoire, Montreal Victory. So I don't know. I'm not, I'll be honest. Everybody who listens to the show knows I don't get too caught up in names because I always use the Minnesota Wild as an example. People where I remember, the Wild, what a terrible name, doesn't have an S. And now years later, everyone's like, oh, I like the Wild. Like give us 4 years of getting used to the name and you'll be fine with it.
But even the logos weren't even great.
Well, the Fleet's unreal.
Oh, the Fleet is.
Yeah, I don't mind.
That's it.
I don't
like,
mind
other
the Frost.
Than really.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't like the Frost.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What don't you
like? I think it's okay. It's just.
Yeah. Oh, I
it's
like
kind of basic.
See, I like purple, so I'll admit that's
okay.
I like the purple.
I guess I've seen it. I think I've seen it. Whether I don't know if it's the Winnipeg something or I've seen that logo somewhere.
Okay,
it's just average for me.
Question number 3 for you guys. Over the weekend, what was your favorite game or storyline in football?
I just love that Braves and Chiefs game. For me, for an average fan watching it, I'm kind of getting a little bit of the buzz. I thought it was a great game right to the end. That final catch, the guy's toenail just basically being out. All the storylines with Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift. Like it just there was a lot going on.
You're a Swiftie, aren't you?
I don't.
No, I don't mind her music at all. I don't listen to a ton of it. Like it's funny. My son's 10. He doesn't like Taylor Swift, but it's more so because the girls in his class, like they scream stuff all the time about it. He doesn't like it.
Well, how could you? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it is catchy.
Oh yeah. Some of her songs are pretty catchy for sure. Favorite game story. Oof. Well, the favorite moment was the Thompsons driving the fire engine into the Stampeder bench. But I'll probably go with the best game as far as competitive. The on the weekend was the Texans Colts for me. I thought that game was pretty entertaining. The Elks when you see an organization that's been really that bad for that long, to get a big crowd and then to win over one of your biggest long-term rivals, to do it in convincing fashion, I think from a storyline perspective, that was the biggest storyline for me.
You know what I missed? How was Tom Brady?
Well, it's his first broadcast. People, well, Brownie, you started. How hard is it?
Chewing on my tongue.
Yeah, like I think people are just, I can't believe Tom Brady wasn't unbelievable like Tony Romo the first time. Now, I don't remember Tony Romo's first broadcast, but I know he was pretty good. But Tom Brady in his interviews as a player was never like Peyton Manning was funny. Peyton Manning we saw in lots of different things. They're different personalities, right? Like Tom isn't naturally a funny guy. I don't think that's his forte. I think he's very bright. But just because you see and know the game doesn't mean in your first broadcast you're going to be able to tell everything great. So the thing I'm curious about, Cons, is I read the article about the fact when he becomes an owner of the Raiders, people are like, well, he shouldn't be on a broadcast then. So that's what I found rather interesting. Right? I saw that on Pro Football Talk. So talking about some of the legalities behind it, right? So, he's got a pretty big deal on TV, but he's got a lot of money. I don't think he needs any more money, really. Although some would say he can never have too much. I thought, you know what? From what I saw, Grant, I didn't watch a lot of them. I was like, yeah, like he was okay, but yeah, it's his first time. Yeah. I didn't expect Tom Brady to just come out and like be unbelievable. Cons, what do you think?
Oh, he should have pulled a Romo and just started predicting plays. I thought that was during the Chargers-Raiders game. So you guys know I was locked into that one pretty closely, but we switched over every once in a while. I don't know. I thought he was okay. It wasn't amazing. I think Greg Olsen was better, but Greg Olsen also had a lot of practice. So we'll see how he goes in the next couple of weeks here. Breaking news for you guys. If you have Christian McCaffrey in your starting lineup, take him out because he is not playing tonight. Try to get that backup. Christian McCaffrey has that calf injury that's lingering, so he's not going to play, which kind of leads us into our next question. And maybe the odds will change here, but Play Alberta has the Niners as 4.5-point favorites over under 43 points. You're getting in on these odds. Where would your money be going?
No McCaffrey. Ooh. I might lead to the Jets. Over under. Yeah, I don't know. And that's never a great bet for me, but I might take the Jets now, to be honest.
I'm going to go. Yeah, I'll go with the Jets as well. Just be interesting to see Rodgers. I think sitting out and missing as much action as he's missed should be a lot of excitement. The veteran will probably come through, so I'll go with the Jets.
And final question for you guys today. Sad news announced as James Earl Jones passing away at the age of 93, one of the greatest voices of all time. When you think some of the things that he was in, movies, TV shows, what would be your favorite piece of his work?
Well, there's a lot. I love his voice. He's got that voice, that unique voice that you could listen to. I guess one that comes to mind for me would be Field of Dreams. I thought.
Yeah, he was. It's funny. Like, he's Darth Vader. Didn't have many lines. But that's what I remember of him, Darth Vader. In The Lion King, I remember his voice. Obviously, Field of Dreams, he was fantastic. But like, what a career he had. And it's amazing. He had a stutter as a child and really worked on it. And he said how reading scripts and acting helped him get rid of it. So anybody out there, think about one of the greatest voices you've ever heard had a stutter as a child.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that to me is, I'm gonna go with Lion King. I just kind of liked it. But that's more of his voice. And so that's kind of what I remember him for. It's just a unbelievable voice. And when I read that story about him having a stutter as a kid, I was like, that's amazing. Cons, what about you?
Yeah, for sure. Lion King would be the one that stood out to me for sure. I couldn't go see the second one after, his character passing away in the first one. It hurt me too much. But also Coming to America. That was when we watched the movie watch a few years ago. So I'll throw that one in there as well with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that. So he was, oh God, that movie is pretty funny, man. Also, you know what I liked him in? The Sandlot.
Yeah.
Sandlot. I haven't seen The Sandlot.
What?
No.
Really?
I've seen The Sandlot.
Yeah.
Really?
Multiple times.
Brandon, you might have watched. Do you watch fewer movies than Connor Halley?
Yeah, I'm not a movie guy, to be honest with you. If I am watching a movie, I usually don't make it through it. I even fall asleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Another classic, Hunt for Red October for him.
Oh, that's a good one. I've seen that one.
Oh yeah.
Maybe just recent. Like I don't know. I find that when the day is over, the day is over, go to bed.
All right.
Let's get the new day going.
Okay. Did you see Mark Hamill on? He just puts our R.I.P. dad to James Earl Jones, of course. You know. Have you seen Star Wars?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Just checking your.
Well, you know what?
Do you know who his father was?
Oh my God, no. You know, I've only gotten into Star Wars because my son's into it. So I'm kind of like, yeah, my brother was into it. I didn't grow up. That didn't excite me.
Oh, okay.
You know, I was always out playing a sport.
Yeah. Well, what about? So, like, do you have a favorite movie?
I don't know if I have a favorite movie. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know if I have a favorite.
Clearly, it's not Brokeback Mountain.
No, yeah. I made that. There you go. That's
one of the class. That's like a Struddyism that'll never die in our show.
I'll never forget that or let that down.
Brownie, have a great days. Good to have you back. Have you every Monday now. Sean Brown, Mondays here on Sports 1440. Have a great week.
Good to be back.
There you go. Chew on your tongue a little bit, and we'll talk to you next Monday. Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. And who doesn't like a mystery? Well, the mystery smoothie menu is here. Stop in, or even better, download the Boosters Reward app and get one today only at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Week 1 in the NFL will wrap up tonight as the Jets in San Francisco to take on the Niners. The Niners will be without starting running back Christian McCaffrey as his calf injury is still not fully healed. Jordan Mason will get the start in the backfield. Kickoff set for 6:15. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen has been cleared to practice in Walker and practice going forward. He injured his non-throwing hand in the team's victory over the Cardinals. Dolphins and Bills go at it Thursday night. Well, LA Rams announced that Puka Nacua will miss at least the next 4 games after landing on the IR with a knee injury. No surgery for the second-year wideout, just rest and rehab. And former Chiefs wideout Kadarius Toney signing with the Browns, looking like the former first-round pick, will start on the practice roster, then move on to the active roster after a week or so. Major League Baseball, Jays kicking off the series with the Mets tonight out in Toronto. That gets going in about 5 minutes' time right now. Pirates lead the Marlins 1-0 in the second. In the first, scoreless between the Phillies and the Rays, and the Braves trail the Reds 1-0. That one in the top of the second. Later tonight, White Sox host the Guardians, Cubs in Los Angeles, and the Twins host the Angels. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Kevin Woodley from In-Goal Magazine. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
In 100 meters, turn right. Actually, no. Turn left. There's some awesome new breakfast wraps at McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. There's the sausage, bacon, and egg, a crispy seasoned chicken one. A spicy and egg, worth the detour.
They sound amazing.
Bet they taste amazing, too. Wish I had a mouth. Take your morning into a delicious new direction with McDonald's new breakfast wraps. Add a small premium roast coffee for $1 plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Sipping gin and juice, just trying to stay cool. And I'm sweating buckets bigger than a swimming pool. Cruise to Heritage Mall to enjoy some AC. Then my shorty hears the homies from Legacy. I say, listen, yo, where we gonna get the dough to pay Legacy from the radio? He says Legacy Heating's got a deal that's the bomb with no interest or payments flipping all year long. No money, no problems. That's the life that I choose. Chillaxing with thousands of BTU. Doing whatever the heck that was. That's how you build a legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
It's the final week of the Brick's famous tent sale, and everything must go. Take up to 70% off clearance items in the tent and store, and find amazing deals in every other department before it's too late. Take up to $1,400 off sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and up to 50% off mattresses. Hurry in while the tents are still up and the prices are down. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more. The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase top
407.
Consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024
The Gregor Show presented by
unveils
Alberta.
a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
I couldn't ignore it. Everyone kept saying, "You look so tired."
Are you getting enough sleep, dear?
Hon, you look like you need some rest.
But I'm not tired. I guess I just look that way.
But you don't have to. I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, and I provide skin-refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance. Don't worry, we won't drastically change how you look, but we will help you look as energetic as you feel. Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
How are you on a lovely Monday as you make your way home? Maybe you're just going to work, depending on your schedule. Either way, we're always happy to have you at Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, watching live on Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook and X and Instagram. Got the app. So wherever you are, thanks for watching and listening. As always, it's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game, whether it's NFL, CFL, NHL, they got it all. Great deals. Try the boost bets. Always a little added fun at PlayAlberta.ca. If you have Christian McCaffrey, get to your lineup. He is not playing tonight. Do you have anybody who's eligible to play? That's the problem. Like maybe you have the 49ers backup, or maybe you have the Jets backup. I don't know. But not a lot of options if that's what you're waiting for. So a little bit of a tough blow for all of the CMC owners. Elijah Mitchell, is he the second guy in 49ers console?
Jordan Mason's going to get the start.
Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right.
Patrick Taylor maybe gets a boost for the Jets. Braylon Allen. Isaiah Davis. It's a brutal situation if you took McCaffrey early on for this one.
Oh, yeah. So not ideal at all. If you missed it, James Earl Jones, 93 years of age, passes away today. Great life, well lived for him. The voice of many great movies, obviously in some classic scenes in the Sandlot and many others. Over time, lots of people love him in Conan the Barbarian as well. Coming to America, he had himself just a fantastic career, of course, as in The Lion King, Dr. Strangelove, if you want to go back a little bit. What about now? Is it Madawan when he was? Oh, what was his character's name? Johnson. He had a nickname. I can't remember his nickname in that movie. But there's another classic for James Earl Jones. Let's get to the spec report now, brought to you by GS construction, underground construction. Maybe you don't notice it, but it is super important. Whether it's running water, you want before you do any of the real over the top stuff, it's all the underground infrastructure that gets you going at GS Construction. As Mark Spector joins us, and Spec, you were down at the skate today for the Oilers, and it was interesting to note, and at least from everything I see, I think he's fine. I can't say 100%, but when McDavid got caught up with Arvidsson, he goes down, and it was like instant quiet on that ice and bench. Nothing said for a short period of time.
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy who shows up on the new team and injures the best player in like one of the first scrimmages, right? Hey, you know what? It's just a bunch of guys playing hockey, and every once in a while something happens. McDavid went down, stayed down for a bit, got up, skated fine, walked out. We saw him leave. I sensed there's no big deal, but he wasn't happy about it. You didn't see him smiling and laughing. That's for sure. He was not pleased with what transpired today.
No, and the thing was, it kind of looked like he was touching his hip, and they're just like, oof. So, obviously now people are going to say, "Oh my God, he's not on the ice tomorrow." Well, he wasn't scheduled to skate tomorrow because he's going to Vegas. So we'll just put that out there quickly, if people don't see him on the ice. But he is going to Vegas, as they have lots of the stars. Crosby was there today, saying he thinks, nothing on out of the ordinary. He's going to re-sign in Pittsburgh, and I give him credit for doing it. I just don't think it's the right thing to do, but for him in the organization. But either way. He'll do that. Spec, I know it's just a skate, but you watch today and you get to say, okay, now we're going to see these guys, and here's some competitions. I don't think there's much top six competition. Adam Henrique's the third line center. I think Connor Brown's the third line right winger. Matthias Janmark, could he be the third line left winger? Easily. But then you've got Podkolzin, you've got Rafael Lavoie, you got Corey Perry, you got Derek Ryan, Lane Peterson, maybe is a guy killed some penalties in Bakersfield last year. Who in the bottom six, and maybe specifically on the fourth line, are you most intrigued by when it comes to training camp and preseason competition?
Well, probably Podkolzin, because he's the hot new young thing right in town. Like, this is such an old team, Jay. There's a lot of old players on this team, man, a lot of veterans, and that's okay for the present. And this team's all about the present, but it would sure be great if they could break in a young player. What's he, 23, I think? He's, to me, we've seen so many young players, and now Broberg is one of them, and Podkolzin, who for a myriad of reasons, it doesn't work out so great in their first town, especially for first-round picks, and they go to the next town, and quite often, like Klim Kostin is an example, his second team, he's a lot better for that team. So will that be the case with Podkolzin? I think I'm interested in seeing how that works out. How about you?
Yeah, no, he's an intriguing player for me. I was watching today, man. I know, again, it's just a scrimmage, but Rafael Lavoie just kept jumping on and getting my attention. His finish around the net was excellent in the skate today, and he got a few shifts with McDavid in that scrimmage and potted goals both times. So I'm like, guy can shoot the pill. Now he's obviously not going to be in your top six, but like Rafael Lavoie, he's at the point now, him and Yarventi, where, one of them is probably going to be put on waivers. I don't know if there's room for both of them. So, those are some guys, even though they're opposite wingers, that are kind of in essence competing for a roster spot.
Yeah, Jay, you know what? I like Rafael Lavoie too as a guy. And you know what I'd love to see for Rafael Lavoie? Have an awesome camp, go on waivers and get picked up by a team that wants him. He's never playing here, right? He is never playing in Edmonton. Unless there's 5 injuries, he's not playing. So to me, Rafael Lavoie's entire camp is play as well as you can. So when you go on waivers, and last year he went on waivers and no one picked him up, somebody picks him up and gives him a shot, because he's never getting a shot here.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if Corey Perry's an every night guy in your roster this year. So like Rafael Lavoie might have to start down on your fourth line and just kind of work his way up. To me, I'll say this. I think the training camp will tell us, well, not training camp, training camp a bit, but more the preseason, everything we need to know about if Rafael Lavoie has a chance to crack the roster spec. Because if he's not on the penalty kill, then I agree with you, he has no chance. He's going to have to get penalty kill time in preseason. And because if he can get on even if he's on your third unit penalty kill, that's a way to get some more ice time in a game. Otherwise, it's just really hard for a fourth line guy to get any ice time.
To me, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. Like I telling you, I hope I'm wrong, but I see a okay skill guy who's got his best attributes are his shot and his scoring ability on a team that's got a ton of top six guys that he's not supplanting. So he's got to make this team on the fourth line. You just said it. He's got to kill penalties. He's not killing penalties here that I can see. I haven't seen him get that opportunity yet. I don't know why they'd start. I think he's been here on when did they draft him? How many years has he been here? How old is Rafael Lavoie now? It's got to be 25.
Rafael Lavoie, I want to say it was drafted in 2019, but let me double check.
So he's got to be 25 years old. We just talked about Podkolzin needing a new organization, a new breath of life. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Lavoie. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. If he hasn't made this team yet, man, he's not making this team, in my opinion. The best thing that could happen to him is to get picked up by someone who wants to play him and then get a fresh start somewhere else.
Yeah, he turns 24 later this month, actually. So
it's a 24-year-old player this year.
Yeah, and you could be right, but 24 really in the grand scheme of things isn't that old, but I understand it, right? He seems to be being around for a long time, and you know what? It's been a tough go for him. I think, you know what, this is his training camp isn't just to make the orders. I think you're onto something. He didn't get picked up on waivers last year, so he's got to try to make noise. But I've talked to lots of people around the league, Spec, and it's rare. Now, he did get in some NHL games last year, so that does change things. And it's funny, but even if this guy's played in the NHL, okay, maybe we can claim him. It's rare that a player who's only been in the AHL gets claimed on waivers. It just doesn't happen very often. And so even though it's only 7 games, that will help his resume this time around.
Well, and you know, the Quebecois player always gets a little longer look from 2 teams, Montreal and Ottawa, right? They want, you know, if they've got 2 equal guys, they like a Francophone player because they got a huge Francophone fan base. I get it. No different than the Edmonton Oilers would break a tie. They'd take an Alberta guy over a guy from somewhere else. So he's got a couple teams out there that probably have had a look at him, but he's got to do something. He needs an opportunity to do something to make some team somewhere think, you know what? I like the way this guy shoots the puck. A team like Seattle that struggles to score, you know, maybe a team like that, but he needs a break, and I hope he gets it.
Mark Spector joins us, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Connor asked the question, so I'll ask you, who's the most intriguing player for you heading into training camp and in preseason that you'll watch in the Oilers?
Who's the most intriguing? Well, let's see. I mean, a couple guys. I'm intrigued by Emberson because I don't know anything about him. And there's an opportunity, a huge opportunity here for him. Like, the Oilers would love to play him with Nurse on the second pairing and not sign someone else and play him all year and figure it out at the trade deadline. So talk about opportunity. There's a ton for a guy that's played 30 NHL games. And honestly, I think I've been at a couple of those games, but I barely remember this guy. So I'll watch him with great intrigue. And I guess the other guy for me is Arvidsson. I've watched Arvidsson for most of his career. I loved him when he played for Nashville. I thought he was a really, really good player in those series. Every year we missed one of them for LA. I know we got all our listeners, they're hockey people and they know what they're talking about. So I'm not trying to tell you I'm smarter than anybody else, but I was an Arvidsson fan early in his career. And I think for those people who maybe haven't paid attention, they're going to love this guy as an Oiler.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Arvidsson is an interesting one, like him and Skinner, obviously, for big minutes. The other position, of course, is the second pair right defense. I think it'll be Troy Stetcher potentially to start, and we'll go from there. Emberson, he's got 60 NHL games. I just, Troy Stetcher's, 4 shy of 500?
Does he have 60 or 30?
60.
60. I'm sorry. I think I said 30.
Yeah. No,
played 30 last season, if I'm not mistaken, but
Well, then maybe you're right. Maybe, maybe I'm doubling up on his.
I think it's 30.
Oh, you're right. It's 30. Yeah, you're right. It's only 30. So even less than that. So like he's played 375 minutes against elite or middle tier forwards, and Stetcher's played 5,000. So
Stetcher's played over 500 games, hasn't he?
Just under. Him and Kulak are both right around there. So I look at Stetcher and I think, you know what, you can, if I'm starting training camp, he's my second pair right defense to start. Now him and Nurse in very, very limited time. And I know small sample size can be skewed, but him and Nurse actually had really good numbers, albeit very small sample size. So I think they might start there.
To me, do I give the almost 500 game guy a nod over the 30 game guy every day? Right? Every day Stetcher gets the nod here. And if you're telling me now that Emerson's going to platoon with Josh Brown on the right side with Kulak on the third pairing, that doesn't bother me. I haven't seen Emerson play a ton, but I think that platoon, I'm fine with that. If Stetcher can hold his own on the second pair, and I think he can, that's fine with me. And, here's the advantage, Jay. Like, Stetcher barely played here last year for Edmonton when he came. And then when they needed him, he was always coming in off of 3 weeks in the press box. If Stetcher plays a whole bunch all the way to the trade deadline, and then you go out and get somebody better, right? And then let's say you knock Stetcher down to the third pair and Emerson comes out or however it works. But my point is, I don't mind a season where those depth guys get a lot of ice time, and then you bring in someone at the deadline. I'm not going to say it's going to be Adam Larson, but a guy like that. All of a sudden, you got a bunch of guys that have played, and you got a nice-looking defense heading into the playoffs.
Spec, enjoy the Monday. We will chat with you tomorrow, Monday nighter. No Christian McCaffrey. Can the Jets live up to the offseason hype? We'll see.
Well, let's hope Rodgers makes it past the first drive. How about that?
Jets fans are agreeing with you, buddy. And hey, how about Paul Skeens? Pirates record for most strikeouts by a rookie since 1900. He has 143. He's one of the best young pitchers we've seen in a long time. So
is he ever? That I always say it about baseball. When you set a record in baseball, that's a real record, man, because they're going back to the 1900s.
Yeah. Long time.
Thanks,
have a good
Jay.
one, man. Yeah, you bet. That is Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we come back, Kevin Woodley. We are going to talk goaltenders, specifically in the Pacific Division, next.
Rule number 37. Oak Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Lorianne Munzer, Canada's first Olympic cycling gold medalist and your next motivational speaker. Are you ready to elevate your event with a keynote that will leave everyone inspired? Visit my website to learn more about how I can help your team think and execute like an Olympic champion.
I'm Susan Reed, Director of Sales for Stingray Radio Edmonton. Lorianne presented at our recent sales conference, and I can attest that her insights are incredibly powerful. Head to lori-annmunzer.com to book Lorianne for your next event.
What's better than Tim's Rewards points? 2 times the Tim's Rewards points. Use Scan and Pay on the Tim's app from now until September 30th to earn 2 times the points. Pay, earn, and redeem all with one scan. Only on the Tim's app. Canada only, limited time only. Terms apply. See app for details.
When skies turn gray and chaos unfolds, there's always a beacon of hope. The Red Cross. Through floods, fires, and unforeseen calamities, they are the helping hands, mending wounds and restoring faith. You can make a huge difference. Visit redcross.ca. Donate today. Light a lamp of hope.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And when it comes to value, nothing beats an employee price. For a limited time, pay what Ford employees paid during the factory-authorized employee pricing event. You'll see real invoice pricing, and you know you'll get the best deal guaranteed. It's Ford employee pricing on for a limited time where cars always cost less. Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and the time to think about winterizing your RV is before the snow flies. There's a lot of steps you need to take to winterize your trailer or motorhome.
And you have to get every step right every single time. Right, Rick?
That's right, Bob, because if you make even a little mistake, you might not realize it till spring. By then, it's too late to fix what you got wrong.
Hey, Rick, do you winterize your own trailer?
Not anymore, Bob. I hired people who are smarter than me. Genius technicians who check every component. Dozens of systems to be maintained and protected. And today, we offer that service to you, starting at $99. Every winterization package comes with a full report in writing, so you know what to expect come spring. If you're confident to do it yourself, have at it. If you're like me and you'd rather have this done by somebody who knows what they're doing, then come to Noble, and we'll take care of you.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca. I couldn't ignore it. Everyone kept saying, "You look so tired."
Are you getting enough sleep, dear?
Hon, you look like you need some rest.
But I'm not tired. I guess I just look that way.
But you don't have to. I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, and I provide skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance. Don't worry, we won't drastically change how you look, but we will help you look as energetic as you feel. Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Keep your dill pickles, your sweet pickles, garlic pickles, kosher pickles. Give me a feisty pickle.
Alberta Lung presents the second annual Feisty Pickles Charity Pickleball Tournament, September 20th to 22nd at YEG Pickleball on 156th Street. It's a fun round-robin format with medals, swag bags, food trucks, a silent auction, and more, all in support of Breathing Space, a home away from home for lung transplant patients and families. The Feisty Pickles Charity Tournament, it kicks off September 20th with a fun celebrity event. Register now at ablung.ca.
It all began in 2006.
Edmonton's premier live music and party venue was born.
Well, guess what? We're now legal age.
On the Rocks is turning 18.
Party with us September 20th.
As we celebrate our 18th birthday.
Happy birthday!
Enjoy Sound Station.
Live music from the Arcana King.
And a chance to win $500 cash.
Thank you for an amazing 18 years.
On the Rocks.
OTR's 18th birthday, September 20th.
On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park. Meantime, sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall.
Rolling through Monday afternoon. If you missed it, for many of you, a pretty big voice in your life at certain times. James Earl Jones, 93 years of age, passed away today. Outstanding career that he had, and will be remembered. And probably the greatest part about this was the fact that James Earl Jones became one of the greatest, not only actors, but voice actors for sure. And as a child, he had a stutter and really worked on it and said that getting into acting and reading really helped him. So anybody out there, you have a son or your daughter who has a stutter, there is a great example of what they can overcome. It's outstanding. Let's get to Around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And hey, guess what? The Coronation McDonald's on 111th Ave and 149th Street. It's back open, baby. New and improved. Joe and his team are ready to help you make everything taste good while you're there. Try the Big Arch. So good. Very good. Check it out. All McDonald's, including the recently renovated and brand new open Coronation location. As we welcome in Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. Woodley, how are you, my man?
I'm good. Can I tell you how James Earl Jones played a role in me becoming a sports writer?
Yeah, fire up.
Okay, so it's a long story, but I'll try and give you the abbreviated version. Well, we'll skip the part where I was 3.5 years into a computer science and statistics degree and had a little bit of a, what did they say in Jerry Maguire? Breakdown, breakthrough.
Yeah.
Straight to the part where I worked for a while and then quit and decided that in part because of the Field of Dreams and having met Kinsella, who is from my town here in White Rock.
Okay.
And having played ball up to a JUCO level, and baseball was my sport.
Really?
I quit the job after having quit the school, and I drove to every major league ballpark in the United States. And my first stop was the Field of Dreams in Iowa, where, of course, James Earl Jones playing a big role in that movie.
Yeah.
And a few stops later, I met a gentleman who covered the Chicago Cubs for the Tribune, and it clicked in my wee little pea brain that, hey, you can make a living covering sports and writing about it. Because in addition to the computer science and stats, I always took English as a minor because I love that side of things. So it was the first time in my life that it clicked I could actually do those two things. And I applied for journalism school at UVic from the couch of a frat house I was sleeping at that week in Chicago. And if I were to go back to the back wall behind me, I wish I'd thought of this as you were reading that earlier. I have a signed baseball from Ferguson Jenkins because he was the pitching coach for the Cubs at the time. And when I told him what I was doing with the trip, not only did he sign the ball, but he said, let's go over to my favorite bar, a kitty corner from the right field corner of Wrigley. And I bought him a beer and we sat and talked for a while. And I've got the baseball over there on the shelf to sort of prove it. It was a hell of a trip, and ultimately in a very roundabout way led me here.
Ooh, that's outstanding. Fergie Jenkins, Field of Dreams, James Earl Jones, tied it all in there. I like it. Now, let's talk about some trades and moves and goalie injuries and such, and a lot of them actually involving the Pacific Division. Let's start. You and I haven't chatted about the Askarov trade from Nashville to San Jose. And what do you think it does for him? And then specifically, Kev, can you have success as a young goalie in that system?
Well, I mean, that's going to be a big question. Opportunity will be interesting here too, because I think, a lot of people look at it and they've got Mackenzie Blackwood. They've got Vitek Vanacek. So is this a situation where Askarov even gets a chance? Is it any different than Nashville? And the one thing I would say is I have heard, still unconfirmed by the Sharks, but I've heard that maybe Vanacek's recovery from the hip surgery hasn't gone as well as hoped. And there are different timelines for these things for different players. We'll talk about Dan Vladar in a minute. He went through the same thing, but things are much more positive there. So there may be an early opportunity. But I'm with you. There are questions around the league, even from those that are bigger or higher on Askarov than others, about whether he's actually ready for this. And so it'll be interesting to see whether that combination, and I've had some pushback from some people who I really trust on an evaluation side at the NHL level, who have a really good, some of the best track records there are in terms of draft and development, about whether he is, and maybe even, it's not so much a criticism of him, but where he's been placed, including by some of his people in some of these contract talks, among Russian goaltenders. Because he was the highest drafted Russian goaltender, in their mind, he should follow in the footsteps and deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence as, the Igor Shesterkins and the Ilya Sorokins. And a lot of these evaluators have him a tier below that and think it might take a little more time for him to be NHL ready. So if they end up being right, you add that to being behind a system in San Jose and personnel in San Jose that was obviously lacking defensively. And when we saw some of the crooked numbers early in the season and late in the season, that teams were hanging on the Sharks. And that is a very, very tough environment to get your first taste in. So there are a lot of things conspiring against the young man a little bit right now. And I kind of hope everyone's wrong, right? Because I like the personality. I like the fact that there's a little flamboyancy there. I think we could use more of that. In goaltending, especially at a time when, I digress, me and digressing, but I'll digress for a minute. I got multiple coaches in here in the Lower Mainland telling me they can't find a goalie for their team. So at a time when, and we hear this in the States all the time, at a time when there's actually starting to see a shortage of goaltenders in North America, give me one with some personality, but I'm not so sure we'll see him long-term in the NHL right away. And there are some questions from some great evaluators about how permanently he'll be here, even inside the next year.
Okay. Now, you said Vanacek had hip surgery?
That was my impression.
Okay. All right. So might not be ready to go. So that's one. Now, what about Dan Vladar in Calgary?
There's a guy who I believe had double hip surgery, and there were questions about how ready he would be coming into the season. I'm really big on Devin Cooley, who they added as a 3, but they see him as a bit more of a project. He's a very much a late bloomer. sort of new things are being added to his game at the age of 26, 27. The beautiful part is that he just like embraces them and is excited about them. And you saw him take a step in San Jose, and I think you'll see him take a big step in Calgary. But again, the idea is he plays in the American League. I wondered if, much like Askarov, he might get pushed up early because Vladar had the hip surgery. My reports, though, as early as 3 weeks ago, is that he was back skating and everything was going very well. And so I would expect that you will see him out of the gates and ready to go, barring any setbacks for the Calgary Flames. And that's good news, because I think you need some proven experience, even if it's not a lot, insulation for Dustin Wolf behind a team that also figures to maybe be in tough defensively on a lot of nights with the personnel change that they've made over the past year. I don't think it's fair to hang it all on Wolf as a first-year full-time NHLer. And Vladar's shown a lot of potential in the past. And when I talk to people around that organization, the fact that he was playing through this for a good chunk of last season, that's when the numbers started to crater a little bit. So there's still some upside there. The question, of course, is can he show it consistently in a bigger role behind a team that's going to ask more of him? I don't think we have those answers, but I think he has the ability at least to surprise some people and give them maybe better goaltending along with Wolf than most are maybe expecting.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, I don't think you want to give all the responsibility to Dustin Wolf right away.
Too much too soon is something we hear a lot about. Look at New Jersey, right? Like whether it was Akira Schmidt or Nico Dawes, like both of those, I think both those guys are good goalies who are going to have NHL careers. And they had success in small samples in the short term in New Jersey. But every time I talk to people, even quietly within the organization, they just felt like it was too much too soon. And ultimately you do more harm than you do good when you put guys in tough spots too early.
Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine and NHL.com joins us. So what about that right in your own backyard, Kev? What about Demko and Shilovs in Vancouver?
Okay, so I mean, it feels like there's a new update every week. And it's been 2 weeks since you and I have talked, so there is an update, but not much has changed in the last week. Last update was that Demko was skating, and so a lot of people got excited. That was 2 weeks ago, because obviously we're still ahead of camp and we still got a long way to the start of the season. But I'm being told that doesn't change the timelines that I had for you earlier. Training camp starts on next week and next week on the 19th. And while he may very well still be on the ice and skating, I don't expect him to be a full participant when camp opens. And there are still questions, and I think even within the organization, a degree of uncertainty about whether he's going to be ready to start the season. Now, the good news is, despite the fact they've pursued other goaltenders and Kevin Lankinen has been sort of at the top of that list, even according to a report from Rick Dhaliwal here in Vancouver, making an offer to Lankinen's camp, sort of under $1 million, but one-way contract. It sounds like it may not be the start of the season, but it's not going to be far into it. Like, there is no fear of this being a Carey Price type situation where he goes in for a quote unquote routine knee surgery and is never the same again. That doesn't seem to be what we're dealing with here. And I think at the end of the day, given how quickly he came back last year to get ready for the playoffs and how, he only made it through one game of the playoffs, being cautious is a good thing. Like, you want Demko to finish the season so much as being worried about him starting the season. But, you saw it there in Edmonton last year. You can get behind the 8 ball early in a year, and the Canucks are not the Oilers in terms of, having the firepower necessarily to dig themselves out of that. I don't think they're on that same tier. So the fact he might not be ready to start the season certainly creates question marks here in Vancouver.
Oh, goodness. Well, he's not ready, but Sheila, what if neither are ready, Kevin? What do they do? Lankinen?
Well, so Lankinen, listen, and if, as far as plan Bs go, talk about like lucking out. If indeed and I think he's looking for more, and he's looking for more guaranteed opportunity than potentially being shipped down to the minor leagues once Seeloffs and Demko are healthy. Lankinen, I've told you before, the numbers I have, the underlying numbers from Clearsight Analytics indicate he's ready to pop the same way Charlie Lindgren was with Washington, the same way Connor Ingram was with Arizona. Like, he was my pick. And I think it's a bit of frankly, about a third of the league. The last time I did the math, I think he's a better backup than a third of what the league has right now. But not everybody subscribes to these numbers. So here he is. He was in the $2 million range is what he made in Nashville last year. And so instead of being the third best option behind Brossoit and Stolarz, and I could make a case maybe even better, he ends up without a contract. And so the Canucks might get lucky if they could indeed get him, because he's a legitimate goalie that's ready to contribute at the NHL level in a bigger role than he was in Nashville. And he produced some really good adjusted numbers in Nashville. But I just don't know if they're going to get him. And you're right. Like, it's a fair question. Shelovs did not play for Latvia at the pre-Olympic qualifying. A little bit alarming to hear the Latvian personnel say he had an overuse injury from overtraining and that it was a knee ligament issue. But a week later, he was in Vancouver skating, and they don't seem that concerned about his status. So I think maybe that got a little overplayed, but still a bit of an indictment that we're hearing it from the Latvian national team and not from the Canucks, that he was able to overtrain to the degree he did without anybody sort of having eyes on it, or maybe having some pushback on whether he should be. So yeah, at the end of the day, even if he is ready and Demko's not, you have a whopping 17 regular season games of NHL experience signed to this contract between Yuri Patera and Artur Shelovs behind Thatcher Demko. So they're a defensive team that, if they continue to play like they did last year, isn't nearly as reliant on goaltending as they used to be. But that is a pretty big question mark and lack of experience behind the number one, if indeed he's not ready for a week or 2 weeks, or that bleeds into even early November.
Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. Kev, you talk about overusage. When you talk to goaltenders, and Sergei Bobrovsky, just did it. We've seen Vasilevsky do it lots. What would be the plan of attack for a guy like Stuart Skinner, having such a short off season? And now he's a younger guy, so maybe it doesn't matter. But what would that mean for you as far as ensuring that Skinner's good to go? Like Leon Draisaitl said, hey, I'd be lying if I wish I didn't have 3 more weeks to train. Just kind of how it goes. But you don't, and we're professionals. But the goaltending position is different. I know. So what do you make of, Skinner and the short off season? Any concerns there?
No, because I think he's tailored as like unlike Artur Shelovs, who just went crazy as soon as he got on the ice in mid-June and just went all out. I talked, we had Adam Francilia, his off-season trainer, on the In Goal Radio podcast about a month ago from Kelowna. And he talked specifically about how they completely adapted the off-season routine for Skinner based on when his season ended. Same with, we just had, actually this week's podcast just launched an hour ago, and we had Clay Stevenson, who obviously the American League, not the NHL, and he wasn't the starter, but he was on the ice until the same amount of time as Skinner, and he's on the exact same program. And so he wasn't on the ice until August, much like Skinner. So could there be a little more rust because they haven't been on the ice as much? Possibly. But from a body management and health standpoint, and again, you've heard me say this before, one thing I don't think Stuart gets enough or has gotten enough credit for yet is how reliable he's been. Yeah, I know it's early in his career, but how sort of injury proof he has been to this point, and how reliable and available to play he's been. And I think they took steps this summer to make sure that would be the case. So now it's just, hey, I haven't been on the ice as long. Maybe I don't feel my normal comfort level in terms of the amount of reps I've gotten or the amount of shots I've seen compared to other years. But as you get older and have more experience, you're less reliant on that anyways. Like, I would prioritize managing my body over managing how many shots I see. And it sounds like Stuart Skinner's done that this offseason.
Okay. Is there one goalie in a new situation you're most intrigued to see how they adapt to the system, etc., of their new team?
Ooh, probably Linus Ullmark in Ottawa.
Okay.
I do think that, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, like he was in Boston and it's very goalie friendly, and so this is going to be really tough. And to a degree, that's true. But I think there's 2 parts to that. One, Boston wasn't nearly as goalie friendly last season. And yeah, he didn't post the Vezina winning numbers, but his adjusted save percentage was still slightly better than Swayman's. Like, he didn't have a terrible year. Right. And they leaned way more heavily on their goaltending than they had the year prior. Like, you lose Bergeron, that's just the way it goes, right? Defensive conscience of the team and all that. He's also played in Buffalo, right? Like, Linus Ullmark's underlying numbers, like what happened in Boston? Boston picked him because they could see that, because it was happening in Buffalo, but nobody could see it because the team wasn't good defensively. And so he can play it both ways, but there will be an adjustment there. And part of that, and I'm curious on this one as well, can Travis Green get this team to defend in a way he was unable to do with a similarly young, similarly offensive tilted team in Vancouver. I think Ottawa's ready for that voice, and the Canucks young players weren't quite here. So I like his chances in Ottawa better. But I'm kind of curious to see. And then the other one, Jacob Markstrom in New Jersey, for the exact opposite reasons. He was a perfect fit last year for the New Jersey Devils because Markstrom is better than anyone in the league when it comes to the tough stuff, the high danger.
Okay.
Well, now they got him, and they also got a coach who was really good in Toronto at taking a high-octane, young, offensively gifted team and making them check and defend properly. And so if that happens in New Jersey for Sheldon Keefe in his first year as coach there, I'm not convinced you get the best out of Markstrom. You may have gotten the best out of him if you had him last year when he was being asked to stop bullets in his teeth, because that's what he does best. So that's going to be an adjustment for him. Not saying it can't happen, but the fit isn't quite as hand in glove as it was last season. And so it's one I'll be watching closely and keenly because I'm really curious to see how the two sides adjust to each other there.
Kev, as always, man, great stuff. We appreciate it. And we look starting next week, we're going to do a ranking within each division like we did last year, 1 through 8 of each division and their goaltending, not just their starter, but the organization depth and specifically starter backup. So we'll get to that.
Backup. We got to go 3 deep because most teams need 3 or 4. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Kev. Appreciate it. There you go. It's Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine, NHL.com. Always great. You like goaltender stuff. We have learned so much over the last few years with Kev. We love having him on the show. Breaks down the position very well. And yeah, what he said about Skinner's bang on. That guy he trains very smart. Obviously puts in a lot of work, but he's dependable physically. We talked about what's the best ability? Dependability, baby. It matters. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. We'll get to a lot of texts in our email inbox, 833-401-1440. On the Oilers, some of you, yes, Paul Coffey is returned. I don't know where that storyline came from that he wasn't, but yes, Paul Coffey. We said that over a month ago here on the show that Paul Coffey was confirmed he was coming back to coach the Edmonton Oilers. Had a load of fun. The players really wanted him back. And so I think it's a win-win for both sides. So we'll come back, wrap things up with a little bit more oil talk on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
It's the final week of the Bricks famous tent sale, and everything must go. Take up to 70% off clearance items in the tent and store, and find amazing deals in every other department before it's too late. Take up to $1,400 off sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, and up to 50% off mattresses. Hurry in while the tents are still up and the prices are down. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
In 100 meters, turn right. Actually, no. Turn left. There's some awesome new breakfast wraps at McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. There's the sausage, bacon, and egg, a crispy seasoned chicken one. A spicy and egg, worth the detour.
They sound amazing.
Bet they taste amazing, too. Wish I had a mouth. Take your morning into a delicious new direction with McDonald's new breakfast wraps. Add a small premium roast coffee for $1 plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Diablo Boots in Canada West. 2 great names in work and cowboy boots. For over 60 years, Diablo has been selling the best-made Canadian boots. Diablo has boots from sizes 6E to size 15 EE, just for you. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Justin, or Red Wing, when Diablo has the best quality for less, made in Canada? Diablo has work and cowboy boots with replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So, save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods. Hurry in today for best selection.
I was lying on the grass a Sunday morning of last week, indulging in myself to peace. My mind was like a least all twisted around me. Uncomfortable on 3 feet deep. Now I'm finally there for not being there. A confused and morning week. Impair my tribal lunar peak. And of course you can't become if you only say what you would have done. So I missed a million miles of fun. I know.
5:49. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger with you on a busy Monday. Man, the show's almost over. Just flew right by. So much happening. Football, hockey, soccer, baseball. Got it all. Lots of texts flying in at 833-401-1440 in our email inbox. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PWHL.ca. And Christian McCaffrey, for all of you fantasy fans. Might be too late anyway because you don't have a backup, but he will not be playing tonight. So if you have room on your roster, make a last second change, but he has been ruled out. So that, what did I say, Cons? I said I was leery of taking him early in the draft. Now, it might pay off late in the year, but Christian McCaffrey last year was great, but previous years, like we've seen him miss games. This is not a shock, unfortunately for him. And maybe they're just being ultra cautious and it's one extra week and they're like, we don't need Christian McCaffrey in week 1. We need him in week 19. And I totally agree. They're right. They do. But, hopefully you got a little depth that you can play tonight. That's the question. Like if this was on Saturday, like Sunday morning, you'd have all sorts of options, but you don't have many options. Not many options at all. Let's get to some of the texts. 833-401-1440. Many of you wondering, hey Gregor, did Arvidsson forget he's no longer a king? We got a lot of that. No, you know what? Old habits die hard. But no, I think it was just a kind of an inadvertent accident / reaction to see what happens. Now, McDavid, if people see the skate tomorrow and be like, oh, McDavid and Draisaitl aren't here, that's because they're going to Vegas. This was pre-planned. Okay, don't think that anything about it. The NHL player media tour is going on. And they had some guys there today. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's more Eastern guys. And then tomorrow will be the West. So McDavid, Draisaitl will be jetting in to Vegas for that. And then they'll come back and probably resume their skating with the group later on this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And away they go. So, and then training camp will officially begin next Wednesday with medicals, and Thursday they will be on the ice. Other news, if you missed it, Trey Ford will be the starting quarterback for the Green and Gold when they come out of their bye week. Smart decision by the head coach. You do not want this to rumble on. It's the right move, short term and long term. Trey Ford gives you just as good of a chance, if not better, to win than Bethel Thompson. All you got to do is look at the record, look at the interceptions thrown. Then you throw in the fact that he's a player who could be a free agent at the end of the season. And Bethel Thompson's 36 years of age. Are you going to risk potentially losing Trey Ford because he gets upset? He's like, do these guys really believe in me? I've now been a healthy scratch for 3 of the 6 games without Chris Jones. Not healthy scratch is the wrong term, but dressed healthy on the sidelines. Didn't play until Bethel Thompson, whatever he did, groin injury, lower abdominal injury when he was running after the pick 6. It's the only time he played him. So just keep that in mind. We'll see. But I think it is 7 games, I should say, because he missed the first one. So I think Trey Ford's the future for the Green and Gold at quarterback position. Would I re-sign Bethel Thompson for backup money next year? 100%. Now, he might have teams that would be interested in paying him for a starter, right? Like the Calgary Stampeders. Dave Dickinson might be that mad. He's like, I don't care. We're going to go with him. Okay. But I don't think it's wise. The Elks, Trey Ford's your future, and the future is now. Making the playoffs would be great. I think it gives you just as good of a chance as Bethel Thompson, but more importantly, he gets more reps to help you become a consistent playoff team for years to come. That should be the goal. On behalf of Connor Halley, I'm Jason Gregor. Have yourselves an awesome Monday night. Enjoy the Monday Nighter. No McCaffrey, but still should be a lot of fun. Kevin Carey's back with you at 7 a.m. tomorrow. We got Fox Sports, lots of NFL, NHL, NBA talk, and MLB tonight. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. If you missed any part of the show, get anywhere you get your podcast, we'll be there. Also, jasongregor.com has all the individual interviews. Let's get to the Comment Sports 1440 update, brought to you by The Big Arch. The most McDonald's you can have in a burger. And just like all the other burgers at McDonald's, it's made with 100% Canadian beef patties. Get yours now, only at McDonald's. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
We're about 20 minutes away from kickoff as the Niners host the Jets to wrap up week 1 in the NFL. Tough news for San Francisco as running back Christian McCaffrey is inactive with the calf injury. Jordan Mason will get the start at running back. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen has been cleared to practice throughout the week as the team prepares for the Miami Dolphins on Thursday night. Allen injured his non-throwing hand in the team's 34-28 win over the Cardinals. The LA Rams announcing that Puka Nacua will miss at least 4 games after landing on the IR with a knee injury. No surgery required for the second-year wideout, just rest and rehab. And former Kansas City Chiefs receiver Kadarius Toney signing with the Cleveland Browns, looking like they'll start on the practice roster to get up to speed with the team. Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays are in action, hosting the Mets heading into the 4th. That one currently scoreless. Elsewhere, Royals lead the Yankees 2-0. Reds up on the Braves 1-0. Rays and Phillies scoreless, and the Pirates on top of the Marlins 3-1 heading into the 5th. Elsewhere, Orioles and Red Sox tied at 1. Angels lead the Twins 2-0. And in the 1st, the Guardians up on the White Sox 2-0. Later tonight, just one more game. Dodgers and Cubs meeting just after 8 o'clock in Los Angeles. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray.